And I know what it sounds like to have a dick in your mouth.
I bet many.
That's the intro.
All shapes and sizes and colours.
That's all story.
We're not the first. We definitely won't be the last. We'd like to welcome you. Not another conspiracy cast.
Inside,
Sounds
Mr.
like he's
Dis-
got a cock in his mouth.
Sounds like he's got a cock in his mouth.
Gobble, gobble.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to another episode of Not Another Conspiracy Podcast. In Michigan, we have Mr. Dean Salter.
Nano.
In York, we have... Wait, I've just pointed to the same...
Well, one.
Wherever they are. In York, we have... In York, we have JJ Jackson rocking the Cobra Kai bandana.
God.
And in...
Voodoo Donuts,
Oh, Voodoo Donuts. Nice.
which is apparently also another pedo thing. Which
Oh, really? But they're
Oh,
so
really?
delicious.
It's got the swirl on there somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it has.
Yeah.
Speaking of the swirl, I was in the queue for the tip earlier this week.
Just the tip.
Just the tip. And this is just the tip of the iceberg of the story. There's a bloke with a Walls ice cream, you know, the red swirl,
Yeah.
air freshener. Pedo.
Twister.
Pete, yeah. He blatantly
Yeah.
pulls up outside schools.
He looked like
on
one
the
as well.
Z, on the Z lines.
Yeah.
Say hello,
when
kid. Do you want to lift
when he
home?
got out of the when he got out of his motor vehicle, he looks like a child molester.
He looked like a diddler.
And he didn't much appreciate me shouting it across the rubbish tip, but you know.
And in Southend-on-Sea, we've got Ben Mills.
Well, fucking Ben Mills, ain't we?
That is the longest intro in history. And before we start, a word from our sponsors.
OG socks. I haven't got OG socks on today though. They're in the wash at the minute. Sorry. If I could though, I would.
Dave's got his school socks on.
I got my Vans school socks on.
OG Stocks.
.co.uk. Promo code
NAC.
NAC.
For 20% off, bitches.
Go away for
We
your
need to get
camera
like
to
a musical
refocus.
jingle to go, don't we?
There we go. I'm back in.
And we've also started our own Patreon as well.
We have. We're pro, big time. Big time.
That is the
Know what I mean, mate?
most
Know what I
pro
mean?
thing you can do in podcasting. is
Pro
have a
gamer
Patreon.
move. Absolutely.
Yeah, so don't feel obliged to sign up. We're still going to do the same amount of content. It's still going to be free.
Yeah, please don't sign up. It means more work for us. We will feel bad taking your money.
Don't worry. I've made sure the tiers don't really mean that much more work for us.
Not right now though. It's
Not right
it's
now.
nice incentive. It's a great idea. It's cool. You know, in these like trying times,
It's more
It's cool to get
access.
a little. Yeah, it's cool to get a little bit of support. But you never know. In the future, it might take off to like different areas where we might warrant having some tiers that actually mean something. But Ben did
Yeah.
say before we started recording that we are planning a live stream podcast at one point. So
That's
that
on
is
the-
in the pipeline.
That's a tier as well to live
Oh, it
stream
is.
every week. Every week we record an episode. You can live stream as the episode happens.
Oh, that's a shit idea, actually. That's a
On
good
that-
idea.
All the uncut content. All the stuff
Well,
we
we don't-
don't say on camera.
And I think, as you know, as people know, we don't really cut our podcasts
or even listen to them.
or listen to it back. That's on me. But also,
You've got a
Give a
full-time
fuck.
job. We've all got
Yeah.
full-time jobs. You know, this is what the Patreon
But-
does. Helps us not want to do our full-time jobs more and do this
That's
more
it.
full-time.
we've established a new plan, and that will be for JJ or Dean to listen to the first 2 minutes of the podcast before I put it live.
Yes,
Yeah.
so we can, or so it doesn't take you guys to sit there and be like, sounds like Dean's in a baked bean tin.
Is Dean here?
And JJ is in a chasm of his own mind.
No one's going to stop that, mate.
No,
No.
No.
but
No,
but-
no amount of
Holding it all in.
No
But
amount of
it's,
Patreons is going to get you out of that.
So I take it the Patreon link will be in the description down below as well. I believe possibly can it be found in the chat lobby in the Discord?
It'll be in the announcements channel.
In the announcements channel.
I'm going to put it in the announcements channel, but I'll
we'll do
put
that
it in the chat lobby.
Channel is.
Stop! It's too good. It's too good.
And I mean,
today,
that wasn't
wanna
Prince
say,
Charles. That was JJ
that-
doing an impression of Prince Charles. It was perfect.
I am really
It's like he was
happy.
here.
I am really happy we're getting back to a deep dive. I will stop clapping now. But yeah, I'm
Me
really,
too.
really happy for it.
Oh, it's been a good, and you know what? It's not felt like work, or like it's been quite an
No.
enjoyable bit of research. This one.
Yeah, and I must admit, like, as everybody's probably seen by now by clicking the link in the title, we're going to be diving into the conspiracy. I'm going to take the word theory off of it. The conspiracy in the fact that Princess Diana could have possibly been killed by the
Allegedly,
royal family. Allegedly. But this to me, I'll just go straight out there. It has every single possible hallmark for a conspiracy, as far as I'm concerned.
Do you know how I know?
like,
Do you know
Go
how
on,
I
go
know
ahead.
it's a conspiracy? Somehow there was no CCTV at that point because it was
there's
all broken.
It's one of the most glaring ones. But yeah, we're going to be doing a deep dive today on, the death of Princess Diana and Dodi Fayed.
And you know it's going to be a good one because I've just topped up my glass full of rum and I don't drink rum. And if anyone saw the Paul McCartney episode, that was very good.
Whatever good means.
A proper
Whatever good
sloppy
means.
JJ by the end of it.
She was England's rose. She was England's rose. I loved her. Queen of Hearts.
I just get the impression of JJ being like Eddie from that episode of Bottom where he drinks the kitchen bleach from under the sink. And Richie has to put him to bed. That's the burglar episode. That's it, yeah.
Yeah. So
There you are, my beauty. Look, fucking superb. I love it.
I've lost my glasses, Eddie. Richie.
But yes, so let's get to this deep dive because I am fucking excited to just blow my mind with this or blow my brains out for how horribly obvious it feels like it is.
Well, if you were driving a Fiat Uno on the night of the crash, you might blow your own brains out twice.
Nice
And then set
segue.
yourself on fire.
In a forest. and not have the keys on you.
Can I just say, Ben,
All of a
that's
sudden be discovered by the French army who just happened to be going rambling in a field where the car was on fire.
We've skipped
way of
forward.
a century.
We've skipped forward about, I'd say 30,
15.
30 35 years. We've skipped forward.
about that, yeah.
So where do we start? Do we start
Well,
on, for instance, some people might not even know what it is.
Right, yeah.
On July
So-
the 1st, 1961, a queen was born. The Queen of England's hearts. Princess Diana Spencer. Lady Diana Spencer.
Lady Diana.
Lady Diana. Whatever Lady Diana is.
But yeah, she was born, and basically not too long after, 34 years old was she, or 36?
She was 35.
All right, bit between then.
She
But
was
yeah,
she was slightly older than us.
Yeah, she basically lived
Or
up until
our
the
age.
of-
She was our age.
our age. She lived until her early 30s, to which then, unfortunately,
They're rushing
as far as I'm
through
concerned-
a Paris night. They hounded you, you lost control. We prayed that you would be all right. The news came through your body cold. Good
Trey
night,
Parker,
my sweet princess.
did Trey Parker and Matt Stone just score this episode
it's in
or
the
something?
office.
Oh, fucking hell.
I
But,
thought you
right.
literally just done that off the cuff.
I was
like,
impressed.
Oh my God. He's a
So-
fucking
I should have
genius.
claimed it. I should have claimed it.
Yeah,
So
I
Ben,
would.
have you got the story essentially to sort of bleed into this episode? I'll let you.
Not really. I think I've just got loads and loads of notes about everything that
So,
happened.
Do we want to go from the beginning? Like
We
Lady
should start
Di-
with when they met Princess Charlie and that how she became a royal.
Princess Charlie. Oh, don't.
Prince Charlie.
The boys down the croquet club know about that.
Because
not
I
you.
think that has got a lot to do with her eventual demise. Like how, like it wasn't just like, oh, they decided one day they'd had enough. It needs to,
like 100%.
we need to build the story. So
yeah.
and I'd like to just preface this whole thing with the Queen Elizabeth II is literally above the law. In the UK, no criminal proceedings can be brought against her. Nothing she does is illegal.
Right, yeah.
So
And
that's-
every court in the land is siding
The royal
with her
court,
no matter
man.
what.
The courts
yeah,
are,
exactly.
It's the royal courts.
Didn't she
Her
flip
Majesty's
a Land Rover over and kill like 3 peasants, and then she just got away with it and kept her license?
They're not.
I heard that.
No,
Anyway.
that was
down
that.
the golf club.
Philip did it recently.
Philip did it, didn't he?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah. Is that where
Philip.
they reanimated his body in the car? And there's like just somebody holding his head up.
Yeah.
I like
He's
how
fine.
the picture of that they got to prove
He
that
looks
he
like the
wasn't
Emperor.
driving. Just looked like he was like
The Royal Day Out to the Waxwork Museum. We replaced Philip.
Well,
With
they've
a
just
model
thrown
of
him in.
himself.
They've got to thrown him in Madame Tussauds, haven't they? We're like, fucking, let's get that thing out. It looks more human right now.
do you know he was out that he was out driving again the next day in his Bentley? He crashed his Land Rover and went out in the Bentley.
Is it because the person behind him tied strings to his hands so he could just like steer?
Come on, Mum. Like, what's his name from Thunderbirds?
All of them.
Brains.
Yeah, but
All of them.
yeah, all of them. Who's the one that used to drive Mrs. Penelope? Miss Penelope.
Oh, fuck. Yes, milady.
Yes,
Oh,
milady.
shit. Forgot his name now.
Yeah,
no.
like him, but more racist.
yeah,
I
incredibly
was
more
gonna say,
racist.
If they put him back in Madame Tussauds, just don't put him next to Jackie Chan. We all know he hates those. Not martial art experts. Yeah.
So how exactly did? So
Anyway.
I'm trying to desperately get us back to the point. How did Diana and Charlie actually meet? Charles.
Well, let me enlighten you. Charlie was a bit of a jack lad.
Really?
Well, he was slinging dick. Left, right, and centre. Every county in the land had a bit of Charlie Spunk on the wall.
People think go on.
He was on a date with Sarah Spencer, Diana's older sister. And
Sarah Spencer.
Sarah Spencer. And I think it was Sarah. Anyway, one of the older
Yeah.
sisters. But Sarah was a bit... I think Sarah didn't know her way around the castle that they were living in, or the place they were living in. Right?
Sarah did not know
Diana-
her way around the prince's cock.
Diana did. And Diana
Her
did.
way around many.
Diana did, and obviously Diana helped out on the thing, and she was turning like she's like, oh Charlie, I don't know where the light switch is, and Diana turned it on, and they were getting off, and something
So
like that.
So Sarah and originally Charles were having a date around. Was this Windsor Castle
Probably not.
or was it Buckingham Palace?
Don't know.
Either or.
Imagine you're so fucking rich that you can go on a date in your own house. Oh, I haven't been to this area before. This is where
this
we keep
wing.
all the child slaves.
I'll bring my.
Don't turn the light on back now.
Oh God! Kids everywhere.
Just like
that releases the cages. That releases the cages.
peasants everywhere.
So basically, she's almost tried to like cockblock like Charles and the sister.
I know. I
essentially.
think she just happened to be there at the time. She was helping out.
Right, and she
just went
switched
there.
the light on.
She was 16 at the time, and Charlie's
how-
gone.
So
Hey up.
they're
Whatever age is.
whatever
age means.
whatever age is just a
Whatever
number.
of age means.
So how many years older is Charlie than Diana?
He would be 14 years older than Lady
No,
Diana.
that's a bit. And he's just ogling
Oh,
at a
wait.
16-year-old. Like, oh,
16 years older than her.
sorry, Sarah,
No,
get off my
14.
face.
I
Oh.
just like you see the photographs of him, and I mean he looks like 20 years older than he's meant to be in that photo, and she looks like every person's parents' wedding photo. She's
Whatever
about 16
age
years old.
means.
But Yeah, he's the royal family, so he can get married to
Yeah.
whoever the
So
fuck he wants,
basically, yeah,
right?
he saw Diana and he went, "Oh, she's slightly younger. I'll go for her." And then I think,
Like all men do.
yeah, and then
I'll take the younger model.
That's choosing
4
a
years
girl.
later they got married.
Sorry, how many years?
4 years later they got married.
Fucking hell. Don't hang
but
about, does he?
Obviously, there's the very famous thing we've been referencing since the beginning is when they got engaged, a news reporter asked them if they were in love, and obviously Diana rolled her eyes and go, like, "Of course we're in love." Oh, of course we're in love.
Like a smart answer.
Which I believe she truly did love Charles. From everything I've gone through, she truly loved him.
I will. Yeah, I'll agree with you there, dude. Yeah.
And Charlie, ever the romantic, says to the reporter, "Whatever in love means."
You know full well.
And
that
she was like, and she said like publicly in a few of the things I watched, she like that destroyed her, like that absolutely killed her. Like she's
when I'm
17.
sitting there, like I myself, like obviously we've seen the video and like heard him say it. You sit there and you thinking, you know full well she's going, "Don't fucking say it, don't fucking say it, don't fucking say it." And in his head, he's sitting again, don't fuck up, don't fuck up, don't fuck up, do it, go on, do it. Whatever in love means, you know,
One of his fat fingers is telling him just like, "Make sure you don't fuck it up, Charles." And the other one's like, "Say it, Charles, say it. You're fat."
Wait till the boys down the polo club watch this clip. Oh, whatever
This is
love
such a
is.
but
Go
you
on,
know,
Charlie. Yeah.
I think he genuinely thinks that he's saying something like really smart,
Laddish. No, to me that sounds
romantic.
like
Yeah,
No,
like,
that sounds
whatever in
more-
love means. Like,
that sounds more pompous, laddish. Like,
Yeah.
what would a commoner say in a situation like this?
It also sounds like what a fucking lizard inside a human body would say. Be like,
Right.
whatever love is.
Little lizards sitting there going like that. What is this? We don't know what love means. What does
And
that
it's
mean?
fucking-
What is
The
it?
claws are coming out of the zips.
yeah.
Like, don't fuck it up!
David Icke must have been just like, that's another book.
I
As
didn't
soon as
even-
he says that.
I didn't even
David
bother
Icke's just like,
looking
if you
at
look
what
the
David
reflection
Icke
of
thinks.
The background. Oh, David Icke. He has nothing to say on this one because he's just like,
Lizards.
everything else you've said is so wild. This makes this seem really boring, but it's actually
Right.
true.
Yeah, but it's
You know?
thunderously true.
Yeah. Like, there is no denying.
So-
that they
Yeah.
have to.
So when it getting back to Diana and Prince Charles engaged, and let's just say like they're now on the way to marriage. Was the marriage a bit hurried up? Because from what I remember growing up, I swear that both my mum and dad were like, although they were divorced, I remember them both separately being like a bit quick, like suddenly this new girl is on the scene and then boom, immediately married.
Yeah, I think so. But remember, they had known each other for four years. But you know, I think
Right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I didn't think about
they
that.
tend to not make those things public because they
Yeah.
don't want to draw someone in too quickly.
Yeah.
It's like introducing a girl you've just met to your parents in the first like week. It's a bit weird. Like,
Yeah.
Imagine that fucking thing. Like, oh, I'm gonna introduce you to mother. Oh, who's your mother? Oh, it's Queen Elizabeth II.
Yeah.
Like, oh right.
well,
Maybe we just slow things down a little bit.
Speaking of-
and end up dead in the tunnel.
speaking about meeting the parents, so you know now Charlie's with Camilla. She did and they got married in 2005. The Queen didn't meet Camilla face to face till like 99 or something like that.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, she wouldn't.
Well, okay, well, because we were talking earlier on, weren't we, about how I was talking about honourable relationships.
Right,
But this
right,
is where,
yeah.
This is where Camilla comes into it. So we'll go a bit further with this because it just
2000.
gets fucking confusing.
2000 was the first point.
The
where
Queen
had met
agreed
Camilla.
to finally meet Camilla in 2000.
So-
Bear in
I'm so
mind,
ashamed.
that they had been fucking since 1970.
blowing dust. Jesus.
I just
So-
feel sorry for Camilla.
Right.
We'll get on to Camilla.
It's
She's
so-
probably got more in this than Diana's got. She's the
So what-
fucking...
So what's interesting about when I was doing my research, a lot of what I was hearing was that Diana was just the normal sort of person, which we know that she wasn't. She was born into elitism, don't get me wrong, but she had a horrible upbringing from what I heard.
Yeah,
like
she was
a
shipped
really
off to boarding schools and
dysfunctional
stuff.
parents, like that really did not care about her. In competition with her sister or this, that, the other. It just sounded like but it
She
sounded
probably
like
was
she
in
had.
competition with her sister. She'd be like,
It sounded-
my fucking boyfriend left me for you young witch.
She
Wasn't she thrown into a boarding school at some point as well when
she
she
was in
young?
boarding school most of her life.
It's
most
fucking
of her young life.
horrific, dude. And then you look at and then take a child that you think about. Most children that if you've ever met like a fostered child, they've obviously had like a messed up sort of childhood, and they're all a bit mentally not stable, and they're a bit dysfunctional. And
Don't
then you
malign
look
the
at-
fostered now.
Well,
It's not malign the
look at-
foster children right now.
yeah, but you look at Princess Diana and the situation that she's in. She's born into elitism, thrown into this, the quite possibly the most spectacular marriage of that century. Like at such a young age, she goes from being a nobody in the public eye to suddenly being the possibly alongside Michael Jackson being the most famous person on the planet. Like within a matter of years. And you look at how she orchestrates herself, like in interviews and stuff like that, and just in the public getting. It's no wonder the royal family were opposed to her just existing, as far as I'm concerned, because she, toward the end, did not give a fuck about what anyone thought.
Shaking hands with AIDS patients,
Right.
like she.
That
Who's-
is one of the funniest things I've ever seen is when she's talking about. I mean, I'm not saying HIV is a thing to laugh about at all, but when she's just like, people with HIV are like everybody else. You could, say hello, even give them a handshake. I was just like, all right, fucking hell. Even say hello to a
But
peasant.
remember, at the time, though, when she was doing it, it was like AIDS was a big thing, wasn't it? It was.
Yes,
it wasn't
yeah.
like it is now, where
It was just the way that she said it, though.
Yeah.
Like, it was like... but it said... For me, it just seemed really insincere. But was that... For me, was that her later? Because it felt like... I mean, I don't know when to touch on it, because I don't know how far you want to go before we start actually speaking about the balls of... Not the balls of her, but her.
yeah. Well, she was.
She didn't have balls.
All along, though, she was like getting she got on people's nerves because she didn't want to just be like the quiet princess that just kept quiet.
Right, yeah. She didn't want to just be the wife of a royal.
No.
Like a lot of the wives are.
that was her downfall. That's what caused it. She was a rock star. She was like,
yeah, and it's the same situation as David Beckham being bigger than Man United. They had to get rid of him because he was becoming bigger than the club. And it's kind of the same with her. She was becoming the royal family, bigger than the royal family. Because us growing up as kids, we were obviously in the prime. When this incident was, these years were going on during her life. We were kids growing up in school, and obviously we were observing everything on TV and newspapers, and there wasn't a day that she wasn't in the media.
she was in the paper every day for something like 5 years or something. Like
Right.
I think when we were growing up, though, it was more the controversial side of her rather than the...
Yeah, it was the tabloids,
basically,
wasn't it? Yeah.
Look at this floozy. We should maybe get through
The affairs.
Everything first, and then because
Get to the night of.
it gets fucking confusing when you start. So where are we now? We're talking. She's
just married Prince Charles.
She's just married Prince Charles, and she's. I'm trying to think how long after William was born, because I feel like whenever a royal gets married, it's immediately quick, get the lizard out.
He was born He was literally born a year later, 1982.
There you go.
Get the
It's like
Bavarian warm.
when Will and Kate got married. They got 3 kids now, haven't they?
Yeah.
Fucking immediately. It was
Whose phone is going off?
Sorry, I think it's my watch. I apologise. And it's actually a tweet we just got. So
how are you meant to get? How are we meant to get people to sign up to the Patreon if we've got dinging and donging in the background of our episodes? I apologise, listeners. I apologise.
Ding dong.
Whatever dinging and donging.
But
means.
so William and Harry are born a few years after the marriage here and there, as everybody knows who William and Harry are. But speaking of the children, we will then immediately now go into where the controversy really sort of starts to pick up. Things start getting a bit leery when it comes to the kids and the affairs or love interests that Diana had. Now, I know I will just jump upon immediately. The first one is that Harry isn't quite possibly Princess Diana and Prince Charles' own child. It's been led to believe that Harry is in fact the bastard child of, is it James Hewitt?
James Hewitt. James Hewitt, polo star, army veteran. Charles,
just literally
Fondelar.
Literally the embodiment of a Blackadder goes forth character, like without a doubt.
He's like Captain America of fucking royal family people who aren't royal family.
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
Like,
so
he's everything that Prince Charles wanted to be.
Yeah, he was everything.
He's handsome. Apparently, he was a very good lover.
He was
a very good lover.
Very good with his toolbox.
He was very good with his croquet hammer.
But he was a big polo player. I believe he played at the same club that Charles played at. That's where Princess Diana met him. As JJ mentioned, he was an army veteran, so he had a lot going for him in the royal circles. And there were times that it was reported that Diana was having an affair with James Hewitt. And the most striking evidence of it all is when you look at a picture of both Harry and Stuart. Sorry, I've just forgotten his name. James Hewitt. I put Stuart.
James Hewitt. Hello, I'm Stuart Hewitt. I'm James Hewitt's idiot brother. I don't play polo, but I've got a golf polo. And a polo.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But you look at a picture of them side by side, and that was one of the first indications of this is kind of what led me to the conspiracy of Diana dying, because I thought, well, as a kid I was just like, oh, she died in a car crash. But then in school and when it got to college, people were like, oh, don't he look like this guy? And it's like, well, yeah, Harry does look like him. And then it's just, I mean, I show my in-laws here when we've spoken about it, and I was like, do you reckon that looks like Prince Harry? And my father-in-law's like, well, yeah, that's his dad, isn't it? Like, no, it's definitely not. It's apparently not. Can't you see he doesn't have ginger hair? Yeah.
So according to letters James Hewitt wrote to Diana and vice versa, they didn't start banging until 1986, but Harry was born in 1984.
Yeah, so
explain that.
They knew each other because he was a friend of the family, and apparently because of, I don't know if all kids who are fucking like grown up like that want to be in the army and stuff, but because of the interest, he was like this big army veteran and he was like just the army guy, whereas in Charles was just like the sailor boy, like Daddy's just a sailor, whereas in Hewitt is a strong
military grunt marine. Yeah.
But the concept is that they were doing it before, and then obviously just don't hang around with him when your kid comes out ginger, because he's the only ginger they know. The only redeeming argument I've got against that is going back onto what Dean said about her family. If you look at her dad, a picture of her dad when she's young, it's in black and white, so you can't see his hair.
Right, yeah.
But if you put that next to Harry, he looks identical.
That's John Spencer, isn't it?
That's the dad. I don't know. Yeah. Which, while we're on this, because I'm dying to get it out, just very much like
I knew he was.
The king is. I don't know if there's ever a good time to bring this in, so I might as well do it now. John Spencer, Diana Spencer's father, he has a long line of people above in his ancestry, and the reason why he is an honourable family, okay enough for the Charles to marry, is because is it her great? I haven't worked out the lineage.
It's a great, possibly.
Like great. So it's Henri VIII era. And he basically was called the groom of the stool, which, and his sole job, and this is how they got into the royal
The
family,
royal circles, yeah.
the royal circle. This is how they got given houses. I'm almost certain this. I've like researched it. I can't find anything denying it. Basically, his sole job was to follow the king round with a porta potty, and then once the king had had a shit, examine it to make sure that it was okay. And that job is the groom of the stool. And that is why Princess Diana is honourable enough to marry the prince.
Could you imagine? But
Go on,
your job of any royal, you're unlucky enough to get Henry VIII as your like. Oh my God! Could you imagine? This guy eats a lot of fibre.
The groom of the stool, formerly styled groom of the king's close stool, was the most intimate of an English monarch's courtiers. Responsible for assisting the king in excretion and ablution.
Oh, excretion! That word.
Look at the box that he carried around.
Whoa!
It's like a giant Jack in the Box, but instead of something springing out of it, it's just a big shit. It's
a Mr. Hanky
box. I can't even see it.
I've seen one of them.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, look at that.
So yeah, just as a little background information on the reason why Princess Diana could marry Prince Charles, why she was allowed, not because he was in love with her or wanted to know what love was with her. She could only get in that inner circle because her great granddads looked after the king's shit.
I couldn't be more thankful for my ancestor actually delving into Henry VIII's dog shit from his arse.
It actually did save Henry VIII though at one point. This is probably why he got given houses. So they found if they found blood or undigested gooseneck.
Oh God! Fuck's sake! Royals, man. Go on, what you found?
There's a list of the groom of the stools.
Oh, great.
I know, I'm just trying to find the actual one.
That's like the right on your CV, innit? So,
Yeah.
you like getting your hands messy, Dave? Yeah, well, funny you mentioned that.
There's his job going.
That Henry VIII fella, yeah, guess who found his first hemorrhoid? You're looking at him. Fucking, that guy ate a lot of fibre. He had a good, strong fibre diet.
Quite funny. Most of the people who got these jobs later went on to become earls of areas. So that that must be like the hierarchy system of you got to start at the bottom, work your way up.
Literally got to shovel
First you
shit
gotta
with
look
your
after
hands.
his shit. Next you look after his fucking mincemeat.
Wife. And then you look
next
after
get a
his
fucking
wife.
bit of land. Yeah, and then you look after his fucking wife.
And then you look after his wife.
Amazing. But yeah.
So, nice bit of
Spencer.
information there, JJ.
Yeah.
Literally, only in the royal circle for shoveling shit with their hands. So,
Well, there we
yeah.
go. And
But Camilla Parker Bowles wasn't in the royal circle to begin with.
no, but he was always so since 1970 they've been hooking up, and Charles was sent off to do some army stuff or navy stuff, whatever stuff, and while he was gone, Andrew Parker Bowles, his friend, was then married off to Camilla, the love of Charles's life.
This is a fucking what? No
Yeah.
wonder you mentioned the sea of infidelity. If this was a pirate
it's
game,
mad. Man.
Jesus
So-
Christ! I
so-
didn't know
and then-
that.
So Camilla was always in the picture, from
Yes.
day one. Diana said there's three of us in the marriage. There's Camilla, her, and Charles. And
This was in a television interview after the divorce, wasn't it?
after the divorce, yeah. No,
Yes,
I think,
yeah.
yeah. No, this was during the tapes. The tapes she did with the acting coach that were part of the Diana in her words thing.
Right. Yes.
So this is a candid. It's really an interesting watch. Actually, it's a candid kind of moment with Diana, and it really shows you Diana for who she was,
How
the real
real
Diana.
she is. Yeah.
And she's awesome, man. I'm like, she's so much fun.
The one thing I love about her is she don't get. You can see she does not give a fuck. At that. Here we go.
There we go. It was the Northerner got to say about it.
Nah, I'm not. I feel that she's she feels fake as fuck. It
Oh,
felt
really?
For me, it felt like in the early stuff when she was trying to get in with the people.
Yeah,
I was thinking of this in my head quite a bit. I was thinking
Dangerous.
she might have been put in there by somebody to try and infiltrate that area, that royal family, into something else. It feels like, oh, I'm the people's princess straight away, so who do the people... You know, it's the same as, like, putting Jeremy Corbyn in for Labour. They're like, oh, yeah, I wear fucking flip-flops in a suit and that. Like, it just... It's fucking... It just... She just feels fake. And it's this look. Like...
But
Oh,
she-
yeah,
that's
the
it, she was
chin
shy.
down and
She's very shy, very reserved person. She wasn't the smart. She wasn't that. Because in school she like failed her O levels twice, and she only got like she got most helpful in class is the only accolade
The
she ever
sticker
got.
she got.
Yeah,
That's
she got a
like
sticker.
that's like.
So I think she kind
it's
of
up-
like she had to build up to being herself. But
Yeah.
if you listen to any of the calls and stuff and any of the letters, she's very frank and very honest and forthright. But at the beginning, in interviews, she's not. Like, I
I
think
like
there's
that. I like that element of her. I like
Yeah,
that.
that's
I don't
what I
give a
mean.
fuck
That's-
about who. But that's why she became the people's princess. But then
Yeah.
when she started doing all this, like, health... I mean, there was another part as well where she's like... Somebody pointed out... Because I don't know if I sent you that really, like, royal family bias documentary, like, completely against her.
Oh, I didn't
Where
see
it's
that.
like-
No.
It was just like, on one hand, Diana thrived in being in the limelight, but then frowned upon when a camera was in her face. And there's just this one picture of her like, please can you take that camera away? Because the cameraman is like this, like in her face. Like, she's not bothered when she's flashing her fucking ass around on a fucking £1 million yacht, is she? She's like, when she's trying to eat a dinner and it's like fucking Stan's there trying to hand his mixtape to her and he's just like, fuck off, leave me alone, I just want some privacy.
Like one
not my
incident
dinner.
out of how many times must she have had a camera thrown in her fucking face?
Yeah,
Like,
Billions.
I mean, I do get it, but there's a certain element when she was out with all these playboy fucking philanthropists, she wasn't bothered about no camera being in her face. I tell
oh
you
no,
that.
no. You don't.
She was
that's,
literally like, have you seen this, Charles? Have you seen this? Camilla ain't got this shit. Fuck you.
look, Charles. He's got brown skin. You haven't.
Well, that's
They're
again.
what you hate. You and your dad are always talking about at dinner. How they shouldn't be here, Charles. Well, look, I've got one now.
You need to drink rum. You need to drink rum more
chicken
often.
tikka for dinner, Charles. What are you having? Scottish pie again, Charles. Yeah, she's like fucking.
Yeah. The royal family are terribly racist.
Yeah.
Have you-
Oh,
so
my
I
God.
was watching the Keith Allen propaganda.
Yes, I
film.
got halfway through that one. Yeah.
I'm not going
I
to call
got-
it a documentary. I'm going to call it anti-royalist propaganda.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's probably quite a lot of it is true. But there's a massive section where they just go, and here is proof of Prince Philip with his Nazi SS brothers marching.
I must have missed that bit. Jesus Christ.
Look at it. Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah, his brothers were in the SS.
And here is Prince Philip sacrificing a newborn at Bohemian Grove.
Whilst eating gyros.
So it's that particular documentary that Ben's talking about, which is narrated by Keith Allen, is in
And
fact
directed
and directed, is in fact funded by
Mohammed Al Fayed.
Dodi Al Fayed's father, Dodi, obviously, who died with
Billionaire.
Princess Diana. His billionaire father, Mohammed Al Fayed. So I like to think on this podcast we aren't just literally rose-tinted glasses for anything, you know. So like, while we were doing research, there was in fact a documentary where we was like, this is fucking thunderously biased. Like I
Yeah.
said, I got halfway through it and I don't know. I moved on to the
There was some good
other
moments in
unlawful
it.
killing.
There was some good moments in it, but yeah, it's definitely it's Mohammed Al Fayed's film.
So, Ben, do you have a list of all of Diana's affairs or love interests? Because there is
I could just
a
give you
hand,
a short list of
you know,
some
just
people
something that you can pull out of a cracker
railed
at
the
Christmas
princess of
dinner.
our hearts.
Are we up to them getting divorced yet?
Well, let's say they've been divorced now, or they're separated.
Okay.
They're separated.
Because they're separated because I don't.
They separated for. I've got a date here. They separated for a long time.
Well, there you go. I've got a date here, long time. But what
So they
was
separated, I
interesting
think,
is
in '89, and then they finally got divorced in 1996.
it's
So
like you can.
She got a
Sorry.
£22 million settlement and £600,000 a year.
Not bad divorce, that. But even like up to the divorce, if you just Google images of Princess Diana and Prince Charles, they look so fucking miserable together. The amount of times they were seen together, they just don't look interested in the slightest. And then towards the end, you notice Diana's going and doing all of the charity work that she has been, like the landmine stuff as well that she was doing. Like Prince Charles nowhere to be seen, and this is even like when people were speculating that they were separated.
Well, there
she
was
just
so much
was not.
infidelity.
Yeah,
Like,
sorry, so much infidelity. Sorry,
They were both doing it. There was rumours of maids being raped by Charles and stuff, and
hold on,
but there were also like condoms being found, people escaping out of like palaces, and people being ushered out.
You've got mistaken. They weren't condoms. They were shedded lizard skin.
Hey,
his dick literally just like sheared off, and then like on the floor.
Did you guys listen to those conspiracy guys podcast?
Yes, yeah.
Version?
I got about halfway through.
There's a bit when he goes, he was off the cuff, just goes, and he's coming spiders inside.
Oh yeah.
fucking
so good.
Funny. Shout out
peasant,
to
fetch my
Gordon
bag
Rochford of
spiders.
those conspiracy guys for the funniest line in any podcast ever.
Basically, where all our research comes from.
So, Ben mentioning that there was allegedly rapes that happened at Buckingham Palace or whichever of the royal abode. The palace. But it's funny you mention it. I've got the article up from November 2002. Missing tape details alleged rape at palace, and I didn't find anything to follow it up. I'll just read the first paragraph. A missing tape last seen in the possession of Paul Burrell. Paul Burrell was Princess Diana's personal.
Paul Burrell was a wanker.
Was he her personal life? Was he? He
was a butler.
The butler. Sorry, right?
Piers
Yeah.
Morgan.
I'd say he was worse.
He was on the blacklist with Piers Morgan.
Yeah, and it says, a missing tape last seen in the possession of Paul Burrell contains evidence of an alleged rape within the royal household, which police were not informed at the time. It emerged yesterday, November...
Wouldn't matter if they were.
Right, Thursday the 7th. So on Thursday the 6th, it emerged yesterday that the 30-minute tape, which has now disappeared, details claims by a royal servant who says he was raped twice by a man who works closely with King Charles. The alleged victim, who was being paid less than 10 grand a year, is understood to have left the royal household with a £30,000 payoff. That's fucking bizarre that you mention that, because I haven't heard you mention that while we've been talking and researching, and it's the last fucking piece of research that I've got on my screen. Now, going back to you saying the Queen's fucking above the law and anything, how the fuck? How the fuck did that not like cross our desk?
Did you see there's
even
a news
become
article
common knowledge?
This week, a body was found in the fountain of Kensington Palace. You can't Google it.
What?
You can't
I thought
Google it.
Michael Barrymore was still in prison.
Right.
He never went to
what?
prison, did he?
No, he never went to
Was he
prison.
not
No,
in prison?
No, he
that
didn't.
joke fell flat then, didn't it? Fucking
A woman's
it barely
body.
flopped.
Oh, it was a woman as well.
A woman found dead
slow.
in Royal Park near
Sorry.
William and Kate's Kensington Palace. And
A body just randomly found
on the
inside
29th of
Kensington.
August, 7 a.m., the police were found to an unresponsive woman in a fountain, in a pond at Kensington Palace.
How the
But
fuck is it?
the weird thing is the aerial view of the thing doesn't show a pond. It shows a very fucking big fountain.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A very
so
fucking
it's
big
like-
fountain.
Yeah, it's like look at this picture, but this is the pond she was found in. It's a fucking
You
massive
can't
fountain.
Google it, Dean. You have to use DuckDuckGo.
Oh,
It's
well,
on
I'm
Sky News, though.
Brave. Oh no, yeah. A woman's body found on the grounds outside Kate Middleton and Prince William's home.
But just a little dick here about the fucking media. This can't be found on Google.
Yeah.
So why can't it be found on Google?
Well, it's
I've
on
had-
Sky News.
Use your minds.
Use your space mine, man. I've had to use Brave browser to find that.
Yeah.
So obviously that's got.
I saw the article on Metro, right?
Yep.
And I Googled it. Someone screen grabbed it. So it was a Metro article. So I Googled it. It didn't come up. Nowhere. Like 4 pages didn't come up. Went to DuckDuckGo. body Kensington Palace came like all the links came up straight
Boom,
away.
immediately.
There's something that is dodgy as fuck.
Yeah, and everyone's
is
saying,
so bad.
where's Andrew? And so the Beatrice is there with her husband. They've got a little like skivvy hole on the outside.
Yeah, and Eugenie as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's probably who I meant.
Oh yeah, Eugenie's there. Yeah.
And William and Kate were off on royal duties.
Avoiding a criminal investigation.
Yeah. It makes me wonder why Harry and Meghan have now disassociated themselves from the royal family. Before we're still gradually getting
She's not even died yet.
Yeah, she hasn't even died yet, but we will get to it. There's just too much to talk about with regards to the royal family and the fact that the biggest news, other than that body being found, the biggest news was the fact that Harry and Meghan, or Harry essentially, wanted to distance himself from royal duties, from being a royal, and just wanted to be like a normal person from now on. And while we was doing this research, I sat there and said to myself, I would put money on it that in the next few years, Harry will come out like in an interview or speaking to a newspaper or something that he believes his mother was killed by the royal family. I truly believe that's going to happen.
Let's put this question to you both, right? Imagine if your uncle had been outed as a nonce.
Yep.
And
Uncle
your
nonce.
and your family your family protected him. No legal proceedings against him. Nothing was said. No one's. They just went, "Oh, you can't go out in public now." And then you also had the rumours that your nan had killed your mum.
Right. Yeah. All of that to deal with.
Yeah, along with all the other shit that goes on with the royal family.
And the inside gory details.
On top of that, they hate your wife.
Yep.
And the press are bullying her.
On top of that, your dad's not actually your dad.
Yeah, which you knew, which you kind of knew because you worked
socialite.
Because you hero worshipped James Hewitt as a kid, which he did. He was like, he loved him. They'd get like they dress him up. James would get special army greens made for him, like and deliver him.
Almost
like he was
a stepson.
He was a
threw
polo.
Strop, he was like, I don't like sailors. I like soldiers. And he's like, I don't want to go in a boat. I want to go in a tank.
Yeah. So I think what he's done is he's gone, look, Meghan's outspoken like my mum. I don't want you to do to my mum what you've done, to my wife.
You've done what you to do to Meghan. Yeah.
Yeah. We're out. And they've probably gone, he's probably gone, and if you don't let me go peacefully, I'll just go public.
Yeah, and I truly, but yeah, I really think that. And it was only during all of this research, like looking back at all of these tiny connections, you look at Diana and how terribly like scrambled her mental state must be from her upbringing and then just life as a princess. And then you look at like the kids at the moment, William and Kate, obviously he's going to be the next king, like without a doubt. Obviously at some point he's all royal, like completely. And then you've had Harry that we've seen throughout the years, throughout the media. He's the
dressing
wild
as his
child all the
granddad
time.
at a Christmas Halloween party.
Right, yeah, dressing as a Nazi, like
granddad,
yeah.
That's his granddad's uniform.
Right, but what I'm saying is it's almost it's scary how much like there is how connected
and I think
both obviously son and mother are, but how these tiny like attitude strops and just disdain for the royal family is just slowly boiling up. The way it did with Diana.
If Diana was alive, she would have destroyed the royal family. She would.
Oh, she'd have pulled the kids away without doubt.
Do you not think
that's why she was
maybe
off.
Might have been what Harry was trying to do? Like, what, like, I'll dress up as a Nazi. That'll bring us much attention to the fact that my heritage is of Nazi.
Do you know what? I wouldn't put it past him.
His heritage isn't of Nazis. This is what I was trying to. I'm not trying to tell you. This is what we spoke about before.
Yeah.
So, like, for Prince Charles to marry, obviously you guys know, but for the listeners, to marry into the royal family, you have to be of honourable background or have a title. So to get onto that to get on the bloodline list, you have to know somebody or have been somebody, basically.
Yeah. to become a
Harry,
lizard.
for one, has married Meghan Markle, and then like somebody today said, "Oh, well, Meghan Markle's got historical," and I was like, "I don't think she does." Like this,
She's
people
just
are
an
saying
actress.
yeah, people are saying she does, but I looked and I was like, there is some little like whispers of the fact that she's got like heritage in like Trinidad and Tobago or some shit like that, or one of like somewhere like that.
Yeah.
But I was like,
Yeah.
there's no truth behind it.
Otherwise, she's
So,
just as normal
what-
as you and I.
Yeah, exactly. So the concept that we were talking about was if he is the bastard child of James Hewitt, also on the grand scheme, he's a nobody, man. He's just a fucking polo player. Shot some bullets in Nam, man. You know, I scored some goals in fucking polo, man.
Played for Chelsea
Right.
reserves once.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I went down on your mother like for 45 minutes to an hour, man. I'm a bit of a rocket, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, so basically...
I'm a bit of a ginger ninja in the bedroom, guy.
Yeah, that's it. And you'll be the same, son. You just need to get out of here before they fucking kill you off, man.
That's
you know,
it, yeah.
Marry an exotic girl that your granddad maybe doesn't like.
That's it, yeah.
She's bloody blinding in suits as well.
Yeah. And just get out of here, man. Go to Canada. They got free healthcare, man.
Same as here. They're just a little more polite.
Poison you, man. He's turned the like biggest jock in the world. Oh yeah, I play cricket, man.
And another incident that Harry was involved in. Do you remember hearing about when he wanted to go on a trip to Vegas with his friends and he managed to convince his bodyguard to invite a load of like girls they met in the casino, like up to their like penthouse floor? There was a picture of him like naked, like in the penthouse, like that one of the girls had like taken.
Fake.
No,
I
it
thought
wasn't.
That was fake.
It was all real. They'd met him and his mates were in Vegas and they met a load of chicks
That's
and they were just
amazing.
like, "Can you get them up to the hotel room for us, please? Oh, the prince has requested your presence, ma'am." Like, what a fella. Yeah.
Where's Prince? She's
What?
expected to go up and he's like, "Purple rain." He's just covering his balls with a fucking
What-
poker
what-
chip.
Want to know why I had a rib removed?
Yeah.
But yeah, another like incident of him just like clearly not giving a fuck. So it really, really, really makes me wonder which one of the children like took after Diana. It's fucking
Yeah.
clearly Harry. Like, and
it's again, that's the thing. Like the guy, the James Hewitt dude, he's kind of, you can tell he's kind of like that fucking, I'm an all-star croquet player. Like, I'm the fucking captain of this fucking team. And Diana's like, yes, and I'm the captain of fucking freedom warriors and fighters. Like, she'd be at the front of the women's movement now.
Do you
Like,
know-
she would be the woman who's like doing all this stuff, which is fucking awesome. But then this is why I go back onto that. Like, I felt she started doing it to try and get more people on her side. And that's
Right.
I think it's just that face, just like,
sorry,
like,
I just want to say James Hewitt is
Sorry.
the Lord Flashheart of the Royal Circles.
Yes,
like
he
that's
is,
the
yeah.
way he comes across to me. Flashheart from Blackadder.
But he was
I
genuinely
thought so.
he was
Sorry, Ben.
genuinely in love with Princess Diana. He tried to kill himself because of like the public totally turned on him.
Well, yeah,
tried
wasn't
to-
he?
He tried to kill himself, and then he was like, "Oh, you know what? I can't have her. I'm just going to sell all these fucking love letters," which
Yeah.
came out to be. That's how the connection was made to Harry, because the love letters implied that they'd been speaking before.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Right?
Yeah.
Or
I think so.
Is that the other way around? Do the love letters deny that?
The love letters deny that they'd ever
Yes.
seen it.
Yeah. That. Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
Okay. So, well, to be fair, if you were like, the closer that relationship Diana and Charles was getting to the divorce, the more he was probably like, "You can send this." Whereas in before,
Yeah.
he was probably just like giving her a little like tap on the bum when he walked past the clubhouse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. May I take your gilet? Like,
So James Hewitt, I guess, other than Dodi and I can't remember the other.
the list is endless.
Do you want me
Yeah,
to read it? Shall I?
Yeah,
read
yeah,
off the
let's
list?
go. That's where we
got
were
to.
going. Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
the
Let's go
first
through
one
the.
is fucked.
Right.
The first
Right,
one is
so
the bad one.
the first guy she had an affair with was in 1985, and it was a guy called Barry Manakee.
Oh my god!
What a terrible
happened to
name.
Barry Manakee?
Barry Manakee was fired from his job as bodyguard to Princess Diana, and then he was murdered.
What?
No,
Really?
no, that's not the story I heard. I heard he was on the back of a motorbike, and the motorbike flipped him off, or
And hit a
bumped him
car?
off, as the Queen said.
Oh,
The Queen actually said bumped him off.
yeah.
They bumped him off.
Everyone else survived. He died.
Yeah. The driver of the motorbike, the driver of the
Survived.
car, he died. He was killed he was murdered in a motorcycle accidentally
Where-
on purpose.
The actual accident was determined to do with brake failure.
So are we?
And that was one of the first things I ever learned about Diana. That was one of the first things that actually got me onto this whole thing. Like, this is really fucking strange.
yeah.
Well,
so
And this was when it wasn't really happening.
why? Granted, it was Princess Diana's personal bodyguard, associated to by the royal family. What would be the reason to off him? Is it because he's
was banging
he's had the affair and he might go public, and their immediate idea is to
I think
just
it's
off
more
him?
that he was just having an affair.
It was just a clear affair.
He was married, and apparently Prince Charles requested that he be removed to a lesser duty than looking after her.
Right.
So-
So they just
And
killed
they
him instead.
Prince Charles said, "Look, get rid of that guy. My wife obviously wants a bit of his dick." Because she wants everyone's dick.
So that was
because she's
that-
the pauper's princess.
Okay, so that's number one, and he was offed in mysterious circumstances, as Diana even told. Who did she tell what she was like? He was bumped off.
She told it on that was on the In Her Own Words documentary.
Yeah, it was in her own words, but she was telling someone, like she told someone they bumped him off. You need to be careful. Who did she say that to as well?
Everyone.
She said, I read that somewhere that she obviously said something to someone about this guy. Like, he's been bumped off. You need to be careful. And I don't know whether that was a letter.
Could be James Hewitt.
It might have been James Hewitt. Yes.
I feel that was a thing saying.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right there, Ben.
Yeah, I think you are.
Yeah.
100%. I'm pretty sure. She
It was
said,
James Hewitt.
Oh, well, Manaki is gone. The other 500 need to watch out.
There
The
was
rest of the football team.
So, and then amongst others that were, normally it was a bodyguards or people like that, the people in power, people, strong men she liked.
People who protected her.
Protectors.
Yes,
She liked to protect
Yeah.
her. You know, protectors like Songsmith, Brian Adams.
Right. Yeah. What is all this about?
He wrote a song about Princess Diana and he loved her. He loved her and he finally got to bang her. But I think she did it out of pity because...
Did
know
she
it-
finally get to... Right, so here we go again, like sucking our homeboys off at those conspiracy guys.
Everything
I
I do.
Yeah, I didn't realise that he eventually got it. I thought he just eventually just deteriorated into a room and then just started writing songs about like wearing leather pants and shit. He got that depressed, he was like... Yeah, are you sure he got to... I thought he just masturbated violently
No, he
about
did.
it and then
He
eventually
definitely
just kind
got
of,
to do
like,
it.
The first fucking lyric or the first line on his song is, "Oh, the first time I saw you was in a magazine." Like that just sounds like, oh, she'll love this. I saw you on a mag once.
Michael Jackson wrote a song about her when it was like, "Dirty Diana!" He knew all along. He knew she was a whorebag.
Yeah.
Those
She wouldn't
people are the
let, she wouldn't let him anywhere near her
That's
kids.
insane. That is absolutely insane. Just out of nowhere, left field. Oh, so we had her personal bodyguard, also her husband's friend at the polo club, and that rock star bloke, Brian Adams.
And-
It's-
And there's a link between Brian Adams and the next one I'm going to announce.
okay.
Kevin Costner.
Oh, fuck off.
The Prince of Thieves!
You're winding me up.
She was the Queen of Hearts. He was the Prince
You're
of Thieves.
winding me up, mate. You're
banged
having a
Kevin
lot. No. Kevin
Yeah, right.
Costner.
Because
Tell
do you know how
Tell
that?
Dean how this happened.
So she was going to be playing. She was lined up to play the lead role in Bodyguard 2.
No, I'm not having this. You're winding me up. You're
Bodyguard
winding me up.
2. And
You're winding
obviously
me
they
up.
met up to
No.
get chemistry together, and then one thing led to another, and they bodyguarded.
Yeah. So this must be a rumor because it's like all of Princess Diana's bodyguards are all dead or fucking executed. But then Kevin Costner wants to do Bodyguard 2, a film about a bodyguard. That must be fake. It must be fake.
It's
He's
too
like,
fantastic.
I want you to play a victim.
It's
And I'm
too
going to do a film about it.
That's too fantastic. Can you imagine as well the fact that Bryan Adams is like completely and utterly besotted by her, and just Mr. Waterworld himself, Kevin Costner, comes along.
No.
Out of the way, Brian. Like,
And he fucking
I like
comes
her.
out of
She's
his-
mine.
comes
She's
out with his
mine.
Flippers. Maybe that's it. Maybe Princess Diana's not dead, and the reason she told Harry to move to Canada is to be closer to fucking Bryan Adams. Like,
There's no way this-
we need to check out how close Prince Harry lives to Bryan Adams.
this is no. This
This is it. We need to Google how close Prince Harry lives to Bryan Adams, and we need to find that out.
So
Because-
if you're listeners, if you're listening and you're not watching the video cast of this, Ben nipped off a moment ago. I don't know if Ben heard all of that, but JJ has just put a connection between Bryan Adams, Kevin Costner, and Harry and Meghan moving to Canada.
Are they going to
Because
do
obviously
Bodyguard 2
Brian-
with Meghan Markle instead of Princess
That's
Diana?
no. You're winding. Is this absolutely this? Those two names are on the list of Diana's
Yeah.
affairs. That's fucking mental. That is
not gonna
fucking.
lie.
And then
I heard it in 2 podcasts, and I haven't done any other research.
she was definitely in line to be the next, the
That's
star of the sequel.
incredible.
And she obviously they hooked up to kind of do a little bit of chemistry, tissue meeting as we call it in the biz.
A bit of summer of '69.
Maybe Bryan Adams is the new fucking groom of the stool for like Harry and Meghan in some sort of like alternative royal family in Canada. Look into my eyes. As like Meghan.
Wow, you shit! I want to smell your feces. Don't tell me it's not worth waiting for.
This is horrific.
Maybe that's it. And
I
Kevin
can't believe-
Costner's just like some sort of weird, like knight of the realm. Like he's like
What
just-
fucking timeline are we in? There's no way that she's been with Bryan Adams and Kevin bloody Waterworld Costner.
And captain of the England rugby team, Will Carling.
Will Carling. I remember being aware of that one. So
There's
yeah,
so many more.
If we don't move
There's
on,
so
from,
many more.
If we
What
don't
an
move on
ugly
from,
cunt. Will Carling, just an ugly.
He was
cunt.
cheating on
Like,
his wife, who was
apparently a stunt.
banging.
Yeah, but everyone said she looked a lot like Diana. I was like, why would you swap your wife who isn't in the public eye? Or she
Lisa-
wasn't.
Lisa Carlin.
She looks
Yeah.
exactly like she did look exactly like Diana.
Oh God, yeah.
Just going on to this, it's another thing that'll probably have to duck go it. But my mum messaged me probably about a year ago, and she said,
You
"Have
know I
seen
banged Diana, JJ, don't you? I had a lesbian relationship with Diana.
Yeah.
Diana's scissor sister?" I don't know why my mum's Prince Charles.
Whatever scissor sister means.
Whatever scissoring is.
Do you like scissoring, Diana?
There's apparently. I've completely lost what I was going to talk about. Forget that.
So we'll move on to. So for listeners that aren't aware, Will Carling was an England rugby player. Was
Captain.
captain
Probably
of the
the most
England.
successful captain.
Yeah,
He
he
was.
was the David Beckham of rugby at the time,
No,
basically.
but
like
that's
An
Johnny
ugly
Wilkinson.
version.
That was Johnny
No,
Wilkinson.
sorry.
Johnny Wilkinson was the David Beckham.
No, Johnny
of
Wilkinson
rugby.
was after Carling.
Yeah, but he was still the David Beckham of rugby.
No, but
Will
but
Carling
that
was
team,
like the Brian Robson.
Brian Robson.
Will Carling was the Carling of rugby.
Yeah,
Of
well,
football.
yeah, okay, but he was a big deal in the rugby world, and when it comes to sports
He was
in
the
UK.
Gaza of rugby.
Right,
Come on.
yeah, and that I remember that
Morty.
like as a child being on like the front page of news and stuff like that. I knew that there was at that point. I think that was where you knew the marriage was just going to go like absolutely. If it weren't Bryan Adams and Kevin fucking Costner, it was going to be an England rugby player. Like,
So, was the marriage not done by this?
They've been separated for a while. They've been separated for a while.
the marriage wasn't officially divorced, but they were in fact separated at this time. It didn't
We
last
missed
long.
out Squidgy Gate as well.
Oh, yeah.
James
who's that
Gilby.
with?
Lotus car salesman James Gilby.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Fucking Lotus.
a car salesman, polo player, actor, Canadian.
An art
This
dealer.
is exactly what I'm talking about. She's just a fucking, like, she's climbing up the ladders, but she started at the top and she's
you know
working
what?
her way down.
I
She's
think
like
a lot of this is
Prince.
speculation, though. A lot of it's just the press going, yeah, she's banged this guy, she's banged this guy, she's banged this guy, because she was photographed with them. So I don't think she
Right,
did do
right.
all of them.
Yeah.
She couldn't have.
Look
But
at
they-
Ghislaine Maxwell. Everyone's saying that about people with pictures with her now. So
Yeah, Oliver
you
Hoare.
could argue that way.
She was apparently she was with Oliver Hoare.
Oh yeah, I heard that and spat my breakfast out everywhere.
Theodore Forstman.
That's anyone called like John Smith or Dick
John-
fucking
about to say
Johnson,
that.
wasn't it?
JFK Jr.
Really?
No, I'm done. I am done.
QAnon?
I'm done. I'm done.
Both dead. They're both dead, but they're both Q.
I'm gonna let you into a secret. The person that revealed that there might have been a relationship between JFK Jr. and Princess Diana was her former energy healer, Simone Simmons.
What the fuck is going on? Like, what? This is, man, I know we said
She
deep
says
dive, but
Diana
Jesus.
Diana experienced a moment of pure lust.
Oh, whatever
It sounds like
lust
she did
is.
that.
We started talking, and one thing led to another, and we ended up in bed together.
What? Who with?
That's JFK Jr.
Right. So who said this? Just to tell
No,
everyone at home, JFK Jr. is apparently QAnon. We discussed this last week.
But he's not.
He died,
He's dead.
He died in a helicopter
Disappeared.
crash.
Disappeared in a helicopter.
He
crash.
disappeared in one. Oh yeah.
Never found the body.
He just disappeared in the helicopter and it never came back. Or did he just?
They never found the plane. They never found the helicopter. They never found the body.
So Bermuda Triangle shit.
Don't go too near. Don't go too near. Bermuda Triangle.
I bet you anything he's fucking living in Canada. I bet
Yeah.
he's fucking sweeping. I bet
Commune.
he's fucking
Like a Diana-
He's Meghan Markle's like fucking sex game.
Do you know what? Do you reckon there's like a house where all of her ex-lovers live and just pine over her, and there's like a shrine to
Yeah.
her?
It's got to
One
be.
of them's writing songs. One of them's writing
I
screenplays.
can't believe she dated a Swiss Tony. Like that's
She did
sorry,
date
a
Lotus
Swiss-
Castle.
Yeah, like a Swiss Tony. Sorry for anyone listening that isn't aware. Swiss Tony is a character
And me.
from a sketch show. He's from a sketch
Fast
show
Show.
called The Fast Show, and he's like the most sleazy car salesman. That's the way he explains how he sells a car. is
Selling
the
a
same
car
way
is like making love to a beautiful woman.
choosing a car. Paul is much like choosing a woman. Like, which is really suave, smooth.
Yeah.
Thinks he's great with the ladies, and just just fantastic comedy. But right, so
And then we'll move
Toyota
on.
car
We've got
salesman.
two more. We've got two more.
Fuck me.
One of
Go
which was murdered on their fateful night in Paris.
on.
But
But
so
before,
So the man that Paul Burrell said was the love of her life and soulmate, but I don't believe a word that comes out of Paul Burrell's mouth. Was
do I? He was a
Haz-
shitty butler.
Hazmat
Not a
Hazmat
shitty
Khan.
butler. Not a
Hazmat
great
his
Khan.
name?
Hazmat Khan.
That's the one. Yes, I did.
So
I
he-
did read about that one.
So he didn't want to be with her because he didn't think he could have a normal life.
Right, I'm pretty sure he's the one that she spoke about her bodyguard being bumped off.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's the one that she said it to. When
you know,
they
when you're like you've hit it off with a girl when she doesn't tell her previous 7 boyfriends that the third boyfriend died in an accident. She's like,
Suspicious.
I really do love you. Why is that? Why is that then? You're gonna die in an horrific accident if we don't separate our love. Well, I was actually going to go on a jet ski later on with Fabio. She's like, don't sit on the back of it.
Don't
Make
go on a
sure you're
jet
the
ski.
driver."
So now that we've gone through her repertoire of of men.
There was
I
one
like the-
one last man, and
Yes.
he was executive producer of Hook, executive producer of Chariots of Fire. He was the producer of FX and FX2 featuring
Oh, very good.
He was that was it. So he did Scarlet Letter, Hook, one of my favorite films, FX and FX2, which are both shit.
FX1 is pretty good. With that,
that the
weird
one
clown
about-
robot.
Yeah,
That's it, yeah.
okay. Yeah, that is sick. Okay. Chariots of Fire, which is a classic, and I've never heard of Breaking Glass. And that man was son of billionaire Harrods owner Dodi Al-Fayed.
I didn't know that. I didn't know he created those films.
No,
He's the executive
neither did
producer.
I
I.
was just a spoiled little daddy's boy.
No, he was a hard-working guy. He was a grafter.
Ah.
Yeah, he
Wow.
did loads of stuff.
He didn't have to graph for her, did he? He's literally well, last on the list coincidentally, but
Yeah, but he
'Cause
was
they- 'cause they died.
he was a bit he was made out to be a playboy in the press, but actually in reality he just worked really hard.
He was
they just didn't
yeah.
like him because he was brown.
Yeah,
He was-
he'd
yeah,
already
that.
he'd been with Winona Ryder, famous thief Winona Ryder, and Nancy Sinatra. So
So
For anyone
that's
listening at home who doesn't know who Winona Ryder, Winona Ryder is, she's not she is an actress, but she became really famous for stealing stuff.
yeah, and
Really
her
famous.
totally bizarre acceptance speech for Stranger Things. Have you seen
I
that?
didn't see it. No,
Oh,
She
yeah,
looks like
yeah.
she's off her tits. Mate.
she's going like
she probably is. It's probably
Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
clone thing, like those fucking human clone things. Are weird.
So yeah, that was the
Another
last.
one.
That was the last lover, Diana's last lover, Dodi
So-
Al-Fayed, and that would then bring us on to her
the
death.
fateful night. The fateful night. And what was the name of the tunnel before we go forward? I want to
The
be
Port de la Mer tunnel, le tunnel de la Mer,
Pardon? Is
da,
it was
da
that?
Alma,
They just the French
Port
say
de
the
la
first
Alma.
part, the next part, and then that part, and then it back.
Port de la Alma tunnel,
The Port de la Lama
da
Tunnel.
Alma, de la,
Alma,
de la,
that's it,
de
yeah.
Lama, de
They
Lama.
called it the- yeah,
De
they called it
Lama.
the- no, I
they
thought
call
it
it
was
the
the
Alma tunnel. They call we
Alma,
would say
yeah,
the
slang,
Alma tunnel.
The Alma tunnel. I've
But
kind
the
of
French
got
would call it La Alma.
La Lama.
Lama,
Yeah, La
Lama.
Alma.
We call it Lama.
Lama.
So I've got a
It's Carmelama,
timeline.
yeah. Carmelama down.
I've got a brief timeline of the events that occurred that night. Do you want me to go through them and then?
Do you want to give us the official story?
Yeah, give us the go.
You give us the official story.
Right. Well, I've got the times here. That is the build up to the crash. So, Saturday, August 30th. Sorry, clear my throat. Saturday, August 30th. Diana and Dodi go to Paris. I'm sorry. I'm
She
not
died on the
looking directly-
27th. She died on the 27th of August.
I've got my dates wrong. Then are you certain? Sorry for the
31st
radios.
31st of August, 97.
Right.
I've got my dates wrong.
Yeah, your dates are wrong then, sir. Okay, so Saturday,
change
August
that now.
30th, Diana and Dodi go to Paris. Divorced and entitled to security, she refuses to take advantage from the royal security. Instead, she chooses the Fayed security, Kes Wingfield and Trevor Reece Jones. They are associated to Diana. They both work for the security of Mohammed Al Fayed. So 5:30 p.m., Dodi leaves Diana at his father's hotel, the Ritz, and visits Alberto Repulsi and views an engagement ring. This guy was regarded as one of France's best jewelers to go to. And Dodi was allegedly viewing a ring, to which it was also rumoured that he did in fact buy a ring and had arranged for the ring that night to be transported to either Dodi's home or the hotel suite that Diana was staying in at the Ritz. I guess they would have confirmed later on through the night. I'm not too sure. So that was at 5:30 p.m. At 6:30, Dodi returns to the hotel, which is the Ritz owned by his father, Mohammed, and the couple decide to dine at a popular bistro. Haven't got the name of the bistro. I did find it. I didn't paste it down, unfortunately. But However, upon leaving the Ritz to head towards the restaurant, they're instantly pursued by the paparazzi. Now, this is one hiccup in the main story. I say hiccup, it's something that stands out to me. But the fact that the paparazzi were totally aware of what restaurant they planned on heading to, they were saying that a couple of the security guards were saying that it's very, very strange how they themselves were the only people that orchestrated and decided what restaurant to go, yet somehow paparazzi found out on the outside and they were ready and waiting at that particular restaurant before this was before like internet and mobiles being completely accessible and every piece of information being free to hear. So a lot of people believe that there was a mole inside, or at least their phones, or it was evidence of their phones being tapped. The fact that they were heading to a restaurant that they themselves had personally decided to go to, yet somehow the paparazzi had found out.
And
so,
just while we're on that, just because we probably won't pick up on it later, we might do, but I'll just point it out now. If we do,
Sure.
just stop me. But Dodi Fayed was seen photographed in his hand with his wallet, a packet of cigarettes, and a mobile phone, but they were not found in the crash. So the idea that he had a mobile phone before he got into the car is there, but when they checked the car, the mobile phone wasn't there. So So the idea that the phone could have been tapped and then taken, or tampered with and then taken.
Beautiful.
The mobile phone wasn't found.
Right, that makes all of this even more like I was saying, the hallmarks of a conspiracy, not a theory, but a fucking conspiracy. So the deputy head of security, Henri Paul, was off duty. He was drinking in the Ritz, and at that time had his first scotch. He was approached by, I believe it was Mohammed Al-Fayed, and he was asked to come back on duty to bolster the security. So after dinner, Dodi wants Henri Paul to take himself and Diana back to his home 2 miles away. Excuse me, Ben, you just had a power cut. Oh, my good Lord.
I was just about to tell Dean, but he was on a roll, so it's fine. Oh,
so,
we are recording. Oh, never mind. Yeah, it's fine.
We can cut.
Yeah.
So you can fade this out in the editing, Ben, and cut it back in. We're back. Unfortunately, Ben just had a power cut. Wait, but he's back. Cut. So yeah, the Royals, the Lizards are there, and so what I'll do, if you want, Ben, before I go on to the story, while I'm editing, this is in post in editing. If you leave this in, fair enough, but cut out the part where I start the story of the whole entire night and just cut it back in. I'll start again so you can hear everything. There we go.
He knows it. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So. Okay.
We never said we were professional.
No.
You know, like I think people have gathered by now. That
we might have Patreon, but it doesn't mean.
Yeah, we did.
What? Hey! Wow.
That's what caused the power cut in your house. Is it like QE2? Is it?
Thank you, whoever you are. Jeez, thank you. Vicky! Hey, good girl. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you very much, Vicky. Appreciate that a lot.
I think Ben's had another power cut.
I think he has. Hold on. I need to take a picture of that.
It's going to go.
Love it. Superb.
Oh,
superb. Oh, that's great.
I checked the message thing because I was like, Ben's just said he's had a power cut.
He's
But
definitely had a power
I thought
cut.
I'd just let you go because I didn't. He's not recorded anything specific, is he? Vignette, is it? Oh, it's called
Vignette.
Vignette. Yeah, it feels like you constantly got that around your eyes. Yeah, we
Vignette.
should probably get back onto this because it's 9 o'clock and she's
Right.
not even dead yet.
Okay, so we just had a power cut again. This would be the second
Again.
power cut in a row, and we were talking about the night of the incident.
Yes. Before the power cut, I left off where Dodi returned from the jewelers about allegedly picking out an engagement ring that was then either going to be delivered back to the Ritz or back to Dodi's actual home. So, moving on. Dodi returned to the hotel at 6:30 p.m. and the couple decide to dine at a popular bistro later that evening. However, upon leaving, they are instantly pursued by the paparazzi. Some are suggesting that there was either tapping or a mole involved, as the security at the Ritz to this day, and even in the most recent documentaries, are perplexed as to how the paparazzi outside knew what restaurant they were heading to, as it was something that was decided within their close little circle. And somehow there were paparazzi waiting for them at this restaurant.
At that restaurant as well, apparently there were paparazzi disguised as paying guests at the restaurant as well. So they were pretending they'd just got tables and they were just sitting there like spying.
Really?
Yeah. It was like pretty intense.
So now JJ, while we
I was
was
just about
past
to
record,
say, yeah, while we were in the power outage, Ben, while you were in the power outage,
in the black, yeah.
the Dean said that, but then I think because we did a little bit of the similar research, there's photographs of Dodi walking out of the Ritz with a mobile phone, a wallet, and a packet of cigarettes in his hand, which weren't found in the crash. Which leads us to believe that if the phone was tapped for whatever reason, bearing in mind mobile phones then were this big.
Yeah.
Well, they weren't.
Yeah.
They were a little bit smaller, but
Yeah.
the
Trigger happy
tapping
TV, wouldn't it?
The tapping mechanism must have been about the same size as the phone.
It would have been
so
much
They
smaller,
must
yeah.
have like removed every. It's just
So-
all they did was they took all the innards out of the phone and then put a baked bean tin inside it with a long string, and he was like, and then that was it.
So you think that was disposed of at the scene of the crash?
well,
If
JJ,
that's
yeah.
the theory.
Well, JJ
Yeah.
made a very good point in saying that what's the bet? Well, I won't mention it. We'll get to it because there's a few things about the crash that are glaringly weird and strange. So moving on anyway. So they've had this meal. The security are obviously concerned that something must be going on, either a mole or tapping going on, because the paparazzi are there. So after dinner, Dodi wants Henri Paul to take himself and Diana back to his home 2 miles away. Trevor Reece Jones is chosen to accompany the couple. Trevor is one of the Fayed security guards that's been following them around just to keep everybody up to speed. And so after midnight, decoy cars are sent to the entrance of the Ritz to try and push the paparazzi in a different direction, because at this point you can Google and you can YouTube the build-up to this particular event, or at least the incident and the death. And the level of media and paparazzi that are outside this hotel is fucking insane. The only other way you can describe it is what we would be so used to seeing of whenever Michael Jackson was like walking down a street or something. The hordes of paparazzi was fucking absurd. I'm sure you guys could absolutely agree as well.
Some eyewitness reports of the day, and they're the eyewitnesses from the tunnel who'd seen Diana, the paparazzi around Paris throughout the day, and wondered what it was. They were like they genuinely thought it was like Michael Jackson or someone was staying at the Ritz because. And when they said it's Princess Diana, they're like, oh, okay, I understand now. But yeah, it was like crowds of people.
It was a fucking issue,
But
big time.
because a decent photograph of Diana could fetch you up to £250,000.
Yes,
it was
Kiss one, wasn't it? Sold
Yeah.
for that?
I think, yeah, he sold a couple of them And like in total, I think he got like £600,000.
And we'll go to that particular, or one of the particular photographers, because obviously even after the death, the story gets fucking weird. But as Ben just said, she was so famous, and the paparazzi were that eager that any particular style of photo you could make your life in like a couple of pictures. And when I mentioned the kiss, there was the famous photo of their first captured embrace on Dodi El Fayed's luxury yacht, where she's in like that skimpy leopard leotard swimsuit.
Skimpy
or
for the
like
day, but
There she is, flaunting it around again.
Yeah.
Diana,
So
just-
okay. Yeah. So.
But she did. She wanted to piss off the royal family. That's what she
did.
wanted to do. Yeah.
As
She
we
just
said
loved
earlier,
pissing
she
them off.
didn't. She did not give a fuck.
Yeah.
She
She refers to them as that fucking family.
that fucking family. Go
Maybe
on.
she's kind of like a reverse sort of OnlyFans. She likes to just sell pictures of her body so guys can make money.
Yeah.
She just like she's like, check out these, and then the guy's just like bling 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 bling. Like his
And then she's like,
donations going
simp.
up. Yeah. What
So-
about my bathwater?
Fuck's sake. Oh, man. Okay, so we got to the point now, after it's midnight. The couple have got back to the Ritz Hotel, and now Dodi wants Henri Paul
Sex.
to take. Yeah, he wants sex. So he wants Henri Paul to take the both of them back to Dodi's home. So 12:19. Dodi and Diana exit the back of the Ritz into a Mercedes S280. Now, they leave the back because obviously decoy cars have been put out of the front, and also the first car that they were driving in has now been swapped for this Mercedes S280. Am I correct?
the one, yeah.
With my research, yeah. A lot of people sit there and say, why did they swap cars? As if there was some sort of inside job going on.
No,
Whereas
it
to
just
me,
sounds like just swap
that's a security
cars.
thing.
Yeah.
We'll swap
Like you
cars
would.
because the paparazzi have just been following us in, for argument's sake, this Ford Focus. So, oh no, it wasn't. What was it? It was a really small car, wasn't it, compared to the Mercedes? So,
Vauxhall Zafira.
or what? Yeah. So that to me, a lot of conspiracy theories have suggested that this swapping into a Mercedes car is a glaring odd piece of evidence. It isn't.
Not.
If I was Trevor Reece
mentioned.
Jones,
It doesn't get mentioned by anyone with any ounce of like intelligence, because you would swap cars to try and
would.
throw the scent off. I
As
mean, you
far
wouldn't
as I'm
swap
concerned,
you wouldn't swap to an S280 because that is like hands down one of like the most luxurious cars you can get.
Oh,
So-
is it? Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Bit of a dumb move, Trevor Reece Jones. Like, come on, mate. You should have picked an ST or something like that.
And I think
so-
people looking back at it, you'd probably look at the car and be like, that was not a luxurious car. But for its time,
There was.
Oh, yeah, for its time, yeah.
The
okay.
S-Class Mercedes is. This is going off on tangent, but the S-Class Mercedes is basically where all the things that are now as standard, like sat nav, aircon, it would have been in the S-Class Mercedes first.
Yeah.
It's
Really?
in that car
I never
first.
knew that.
yeah.
Yeah, that is the most that and a Maybach. The Maybach, you know, that is basically an extended S-Class. Like they just stuck a big bit in it.
So that
Maybach.
Yeah,
sorry.
that car was like the beta model for all cars now.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, I never knew that. Okay, so it's 12:19. They're exiting the back of the Ritz. Again, very famous picture of them standing in a lift on their way out to the entrance, like a top down. It's one of the last pieces of CCTV that you will see
Yeah.
of Princess Diana and Dodi together alive at the same time. Another hallmark of conspiracy. Anyway, so all the photographers from the front and the back then pursue the Mercedes and catch up at a red light. Just before the light changes, Henri Paul accelerates to the Alma tunnel, reaching speeds just under 90 miles per hour.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Sure.
Sorry to interrupt. Did you say that the hotel was Mohammed Al Fayed's hotel?
Yeah, he owns
Yes,
it. Yeah.
he owns the Ritz, yes.
And the photograph of them in there was the last photograph ever.
Yes, because...
apart from the blurry one through the window.
And the paparazzi one. Sorry, let me reiterate.
Right.
It's the last CCTV image.
Okay. 'Cause
Sorry, I
thinking
apologise.
That would be a fucking great cover-up. Just like, oh, this is the last time they were seen, and then the lift just keeps going down and down, and then some random blonde woman walks into the car, and then she's dead, and and then they live
Body double.
happily ever after in Canada.
Yeah.
Or in Dodi El Fayed's garden. Sorry, Mohammed El Fayed's garden.
For how
where-
fucking big it is.
Where, for, like, while Ben's, like, trying to sort out his internet again.
Dipping off.
Just to go back onto the Keith Allen documentary, which we have decided is hugely biased. Dodi Al Fayed is buried in Mohammed Al Fayed's garden, but because he lives so far away from his house, he sleeps in the garden next to his son's grave because it probably takes him too long to walk back to his fucking house.
You got to
This
admit
just shows you how rich people are.
Yeah, and you've got, if you have not seen the memorial and Dodi Al Fayed's resting place, you can't dispute the love that father has for his son.
It's like
that,
a 500 grand house in York,
Yeah,
which is a
and-
modest sized house, and it's just for some ashes. Like
It's
it's a fucking,
it's
a big
fucking
house.
crazy. Like
And
the
he lives in a
memorials.
fucking tent. you think he just fucking built the memorial closer to his house? What a fucking idiot!
He was traumatized, JJ, man. Come on.
Oh my god, he's probably got enough money to be like, knock it all down and bring it closer. Not the
Yeah,
memorial.
actually,
Obviously,
yeah.
that would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because then the Mummy Returns happens.
So Henri Paul has come to a red light, and there are paparazzi absolutely everywhere, and you can only imagine, all on scooters and all sorts, trying to throw their cameras into the window and try and get any form of picture.
Yeah.
To which Henri Paul has decided, just before the light turns red, to slam the accelerator down and make a beeline for the tunnel. So the Mercedes enters the tunnel. And it was spun around into the right-hand lane with the front end hitting the 13th pillar, allegedly colliding. Allegedly caused the Mercedes to spin into the opposite lane and into the pillar was a white Fiat Uno. This is reported.
It followed
widely,
it into the tunnel. It followed
it into the tunnel, widely reported from journalists and witnesses and like the paparazzi, however, the Fiat Uno had spun off. So at that moment, now, both, Dodi Al Fayed, Princess Diana, Henri Paul and Trevor Reece Jones, all three of them are dead. Henri Paul instantly. Trevor Reece Jones lived, but he is critical condition, as is Princess Diana. Dodi Al Fayed also died on impact. Now, Frederick Myers is a name. I can't remember who exactly he was. He was traveling through he was a off-duty paramedic or ambulance or surgeon, sorry. So Frederick Myers was travelling through the tunnel on the opposite side and stopped to assist the crash, where he reported in saying that Diana looked the best of the lot. Now, this is another issue that is glaring to me. We will get back to it, though. However, so obviously within moments, because paparazzi are everywhere, ambulance is called at 2:00. Family spokesman Michael Cole tells Mohammed Al Fayed that Dodi has been involved in a crash, to which Mohammed Al Fayed says he's aware of it, it's on the news, and he's saying, let's pray that he will be okay, because I think he's certain that it's his son that's involved in the crash. Then at 4:00, Diana is pronounced dead in hospital. So that is the timeline of events. There are more more sort of detailed areas as to when the paramedics turn up, how long the paramedics took on the scene. That's a beautiful black pussy.
Didn't like that one. He didn't like that at all.
So as Ben had stated, August the 31st, Sunday, was when Diana, at 4 a.m, was when Diana was, in fact, pronounced dead.
Yeah.
Shall we go back to the beginning of this
think
night?
we
because
can go
there's a lot of
to-
stuff for us to comment on.
So that week leading up to the crash, she had been photographed on Dodi's yacht, and there'd been loads of things going, oh, is she pregnant? Oh, are they getting engaged?
That's it.
There's
She'd had a bit too much caviar and was like a bit...
I don't think she was pregnant.
No, I don't think she was.
I don't think she was pregnant. But obviously, the press are just going to take something and go with it. And I think
Correct. Yeah.
So that leading up to that, she'd already pissed them off by being like going to see AIDS guys and getting involved in politics and talking about doing the walk through the landmines and stuff like that. Prince Philip had written her a letter saying, "Don't do that. We don't want you doing that."
Wearing that fucking black dress. Do you remember the TV awards? And the old rich were like, "You don't wear black unless it's a funeral." And then she's wearing like a strip of cotton that covers her nipples. And I mean, the camera angles were very flattering for her as well because they were all taken from above, surprisingly.
Wicked racy dress.
Yeah, exactly. And apparently after that she had to have like etiquette lessons to...
And didn't she have an affair with her linguist, the professional linguist as well? I'm pretty sure that
she have an affair with.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
To name the ones.
I've not written that one down, but I only wrote down Canadians. So
yeah, well, that's it. I told you they're starting a secret. That fucking lift in where the Ritz is. It literally went all the way down, and then there was just a really big mine tunnel that went all the way to Canada, and she's living happily ever after. That's it. I'm 100% sold on that.
That's a good theory, and I hope that's the truth because it'd be nice if she was still alive.
That she cheated her death.
You guys fucking love her, yeah.
We're British. We're British. We have to love her.
I've got to fucking love
She's
the
a
old
queen
Queen
of hearts.
Queen of hearts, you know.
Queen
People's
of
princess.
But yeah, so and she'd also this is and way back when, and we should have probably mentioned this earlier. She told a lawyer and her scumbag butler in a letter.
Fucking Burrow.
Paul Burrell, wanker.
Fucking Burrow.
The royals were gonna kill her in a car crash, and she'd thought this for years, like 10 years.
It was a letter
written.
that she had shared in saying that she felt her husband or the family were
fucking
attempting to
family.
kill her, and it would end in a car crash with either brake failure or what was the other thing she mentioned? Well, regardless, she predicted her own fate. And what was interesting and significant about it is a lot of people claimed that Burrell had forged her handwriting to write that. Whereas, in my opinion, I kind of think that's just like no.
And they said that they couldn't. It was so good that they couldn't tell if it was
fake.
They couldn't tell if it was fake or not.
Right,
basically.
So it was her writing at the end of the day. And for how outlandish and outspoken she was about the royal family in general,
But then a lawyer that she sent it to a lawyer as well, and once she died, he was allowed to say that, like,
of course, right, yeah. So as Ben mentioned a moment ago, building up to this weekend, it was just an absolute circus for the media. Every single day, it was almost like it was a mockumentary, or like a fly on the wall when it came to the news, because the next day there was something new about Dodi and Diana, or it was just like,
crazy.
Back from the weather, let's check out on Diana and Dodi's holiday.
It was
I kind of remember it as well.
Yeah,
like,
I remember it.
I was super young. I just remember every fucking day it was like, who cares? Like,
I was
just
11
some girl
and
on a
I
boat
remember
fucking...
it. But I remember it because it was almost like the build up to like WrestleMania, if you know what I mean. Like there was something happening every day, and then she died at the end. It was like that was the headline.
Yes,
it was like meant to happen. Like,
great analogy, perfect.
Yeah, it was.
Yep. That's a thumbnail
so
as well. Just like Stone Cold suplexing fucking the Queen.
Yeah,
or something.
RKO out of nowhere. Yeah, it was crazy. It was a really, like, it was a weird. I remember it, like, not vividly, but I remember it well enough to go, like, I remember these pictures when they first came out. I remember.
Oh look, that's them at dinner. Oh look,
like,
they're on a boat.
Yeah.
Oh look, they're here.
And I remember waking up on Sunday morning, and so I was 11. We were watching Rugrats on Nickelodeon, me and my brother and sister, and there was a blue bar on our Skybox, and you couldn't get rid of it. And it was like, go to Sky News now for important news. So we were like, go and have a look at it. And I was like, Mum, Princess Diana's dead. And she went, don't lie. Don't lie. Don't lie.
My mum and dad had bought me a TV, I think, for that Christmas. Bearing in mind, I'm from the north. It was probably our only TV we had. I had to wheel it upstairs.
Very much.
They bought me a TV for Christmas.
If anyone wants to know what JJ's upbringing was like. Watch the opening few scenes of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah, all my grandparents are well good dancers.
And every
And
single
lazy
family
as well.
member in
They
a
could
bed.
dance. They could dance, but they couldn't be bothered to go to fucking work.
Yeah, every single family
frauds.
member not getting out of bed.
Yeah, fucking. He could dance, but he was infirm. Fucking those
Yeah,
those grandparents.
He was alright as soon as he got to the fucking free chocolate, though, wasn't he?
Yeah,
The fucking old fat. But yeah, I remember it. Like, I remember waking up on the morning and running into my mum's room and like, Princess Diana's dead. And she was just like, shut up, go back to bed.
Yeah,
Well,
he was like,
You're
you're
in
lying.
the mines in 5 minutes.
I remember we was watching it on GMTV, and I was getting ready to go to like play football in the morning.
Sunday
and,
league, lad.
Sunday
league.
league lad, 10 years old, whatever. I remember my dad sitting there going, fucking hell, I'm not going to hear the end of this from the mums at that football. Like, that was my dad, not Princess Diana's dead. He was like, fucking
He
hell,
was
you're
dead
not gonna be
inside.
able to-"
He was crying inside. He
Oh,
was,
yeah.
This is gone.
Did you
I
get
can't
to the
believe she's
football
bloody
and they were
gone.
all throwing roses on the pitch? Was it like that? Every time they scored a goal, there was rose petals everywhere.
They made you put a black arm. We were black
Every
armbands
goal.
as soon as we got there.
Every goal, a dove's being released. Just,
Donna!
But yeah, I remember seeing it obviously like on television. But the point that Ben's getting to is this build up was fucking for the way it ended. It was fucking
couldn't have written
crazy.
it. You couldn't
because
have written it better.
It's basically a movie. It was like, oh, look at these two people in love, and fuck you, you're dead.
Yeah.
Like,
well, the last
it was
thing the royal
crazy.
family want is like the king to have the new king to have a stepdad who's Muslim. That's the last thing they want, right?
The heir,
Especially
someone.
Philip, a bloody Muslim, a Muslim.
Where's he been for his summer holidays? You
bloody-
don't get a tan like that in Spain,
bloody
and south
ragged.
of France.
The bloody ragged is some stepfather to the king and fucking.
No, yeah. Well, it's not
The
that
bloody
bad. I
arrogant.
guess he hasn't got a watermelon smile like the others.
She's
Isn't
having
that
a
his
laugh.
famous one? Their watermelon smiles.
Oh,
What a
he's
fucking
such
what
a
a
man.
creep.
He's
What
the
a creep.
worst, man. Anyone
But-
that likes Prince Philip because he's like a doddering old bloke. He's pure
yeah.
evil. He's a Nazi. He's an
Look at
actual.
him.
He's a pure evil.
It's like when Savile got outed as a pedo, and then you look at everyone was like, well, yeah, he looks like one, doesn't he? Yeah, actually, no, he does look like he diddled kids. You look at Philip, and you're just like, don't fucking invite him to family events. Like, just stay.
He's the overlord, isn't he? He's
Yeah.
the fucking Castle Grayskull. Like, he's just like there, like in his
He's
car.
he's the
He does
endgame
He's
boss.
the emperor. He's the emperor.
yeah.
Palpatine. He is
Yeah,
Palpatine.
he's Palpatine. Man.
Oh,
He looks like him as well. Yeah. So, like, yeah, the build up was like Hollywood build up.
And it was just the way it ended almost felt unreal, because obviously, as you two said, your parents were just like, don't fucking lie about it. It was that obvious, and it was that impactful on society. I feel that excuse me, immediately everyone was like, family did it.
It was
royal family
like,
did it.
It was like 9/11 and Jeffrey Epstein
Yeah, and
suicide.
what's
It was both.
the
It was
way-
the same level. Just like that's just too convenient.
And the way that it comes across like that, or it's concrete in the sense of that's how a lot of people dealt with it, is in America here. When people ask me where I'm from and they find out, one of two questions they ask. The first one is, are you Australian? And the second one is, do you think the royal family killed Diana? Like, for people over here across not any normal question, they immediately go to, do you think the royal family killed her? Like, that to me speaks volumes. I think when she died, everyone was just like, they fucking did it. It was coming. It was coming.
Yeah, and I was talking to my mate Simon, who's like the biggest critic of this podcast. He thinks like it's sending me down a rabbit hole of lunacy, and he doesn't entertain any of it. Like,
But he
any
watches
of it.
it.
No, he listened to one episode. But now he just reads the titles and goes, "Yep, that's bullshit." He doesn't entertain any of it. And when I said, "Oh, we're doing Diana's next," and he went, "Well, that's not a conspiracy." that happened. Like, it's like, people, just everyone knows, anyone of a certain age. So he was our age. I think he was probably a bit younger than we are now when it happened. And he was like, it was just like everyone just like, yeah.
It's like common knowledge, isn't it?
And the Queen's original response was cold and like it turned the nation against the Queen. She had to then do a live broadcast after visiting the flowers to kind of turn people on her side, welled up a little bit, a few crocodile tears. But
yeah. Because we all knew that she definitely didn't like Diana.
She misread it big time. She thought that no one gave a fuck and they loved her more than they loved Diana. And she misread it big time, and so
it kind of had the same knee-jerk response as when Tories won. Like everyone was like, oh yeah, great, we're gonna have this fucking new like woman who's gonna lead us down this great path, and then oh no, Boris Johnson's Prime Minister, and everyone just kind of went,
another floppy-haired twat arrives.
Everyone sighed and just went, oh, that's it now. The one person who maybe have like opened up a gate of hope for everybody just kind of went, oh, she's dead. Yeah. It's kind of a bit shitty.
Yeah. So
even though I didn't like her very much.
Yeah.
So we're getting to now where really we're going to start picking the story apart, particularly with the incident in itself. Now, going back just to start again with the little bits here and there that we're picking around. As JJ mentioned, it's possible that they were being bugged to make sure they know. Or I say they, MI6 or people working for the royal family, they were aware of their moves throughout that night because the ex-security, I think it was the ex-head of security who was working that night in the Unlawful Killing documentary, how he commented in saying there's no way that the paparazzi should have known that they were at that restaurant. And JJ then mentioning that it was pictured and reported that Dodi had left with these belongings that were then not found on the car itself. That is one hallmark immediately when it comes to a conspiracy. Items missing that are physically there. We've seen them on photographs, yet they're reported to not be there.
The car wasn't in a way that it would have destroyed those items. That's the first, like the Paul McCartney, the 7-7 thing was like, oh yeah, the fire destroyed it.
Right.
Maybe that's maybe they've just learned this now. They're like, it has to involve fire because we need to be able to burn the evidence.
Yeah.
They're all sat around the dinner table, just like, we have to be able to burn it.
It must be burnt. Make sure there's a fire because we need to burn the evidence.
Fire.
So, quickly again, although we've jump forward, with regards to speaking about missing items or where did the items go, it was reported by a lot of paparazzi. Now, just imagine as well, picture yourselves like, this is a question to you guys. If you were a paparazzi that had just witnessed that incident, you would be fucking terrified, wouldn't you? Because I know that thinking in a paparazzi's head, they would be like, holy fuck, like that must have been one of ours that has clipped that car, and now Princess Diana's like wedged between a concrete pillar and the back seat. We're in trouble.
Depending on your level of psychopathy.
Because a lot of them are,
I'm going to make millions.
Mine would have been a green matrix screen of fucking dollar signs just falling down.
Where's the button? Where's the button?
Just like heads everywhere and stuff like, I'd have been planning out my new car and everything, just like £6,000, £7,000.
Gonna go on tour across France.
And then I'd go on my scooter and fuck off and leave the other guys there to do it.
So
I think I'd freeze, and then I'd be like, well, what's the number for 999? What's the number?
Everyone else is getting like the gory photos. You just dive in there and go up skirt. There we are. Here's the money shot.
She was wearing slacks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So right.
Really big granny knickers.
So what was reported, which is again pointing towards what JJ was saying about Dodi had these possessions on him, and then they were not reported or even found in the car, was paparazzi and witnesses to the crash had reported that on a superbike, 2 black-clothed gentlemen, I say gentlemen, men, pulled up to the car.
Could be women. No one saw their faces.
Could be the woman, to which one got off of the car, which got off of the motorbike and ran towards the car, and the other one stayed on the motorbike while allegedly looking back at the paparazzi and this, that, the other. The person that was at the car, who was allegedly leaning into the car and looking, then performed this hand signal, which is putting an X across your chest and then throwing both arms down to your side. Yeah. Allegedly, it means
he was claiming straight edge, man. He's like, oh, shit.
Claiming straight edge. Throw down.
Yeah, but it's an Earth Crisis in his helmet.
Sorry, JJ's pitting on his own in his camera for the audibly audible based people.
You'll be able to hear me panting now because
but anyway,
the helmeted figure.
These paparazzi had reported that then this helmeted, leather-clad bike user had then looked into the car, turned around at the guy on the superbike and gave the signal with the X across his chest and then arms down by the side, which allegedly means done, like executed or done or complete. And then they rode off.
Well, they did. That's not everything.
No, go on then.
They moved. So Henri Paul's, the driver, had died, and his head was on the horn, so it was going.
Because he had died instantly, snap neck.
Wait for it. And then he lifted his head off the horn.
And moved him back.
And moved his head back.
The seat. And also had allegedly put the seatbelt over Trevor Reece Jones, to which allegedly that is what saved his life. What's interesting about that as well, although Trevor Reece Jones, although he's the only survivor, has said that he doesn't know anything upon the impact and after and even just before. Like, he has no memory of it at all.
Which is understandable.
When he was told that it was because he was wearing a seatbelt that he had survived, he denied, saying that I couldn't have been wearing a seatbelt. It's not in my training. Because he's a bodyguard. And was he ex-SAS or something like that?
Yeah, he was SAS, yeah.
Special Forces,
their training is don't wear a seatbelt because you need to be able to move, you need to be able to...
and be free. And
right, so hang on a second. You're saying the guys on the bike came in and then put his seatbelt on after the crash?
Yes, manipulated the scene,
So he was just lucky that he survived because he...
Yeah, and that's what makes me think that Diana's seatbelt wasn't faulty, and she would not have survived if she wasn't wearing a seatbelt. If she was wearing it. So I reckon she was wearing a seatbelt and they unclicked it. Because she survived. She survived the crash.
And she religiously wore seatbelts. Yeah. I mean, if someone told you were going to die in a car crash, you'd wear a seatbelt. You would, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure,
if you knew that was your fate, you'd be like, I'm going to wear a seatbelt from now on.
Yeah. And another thing they allegedly or could have done is injected Henri Paul with
carbon monoxide
and booze and like sleeping tablets and stuff.
That's what I say when I come back really pissed.
Because he clearly was not
just injected me with loads.
He clearly wasn't as pissed as they made out because there's CCTV footage of him walking around. So he'd had 2 drinks, a Ricard and a beer. And he's French, so that's like water. That's like water.
So, as Ben just mentioned, when it comes to Henri Paul's toxicology report, he was shown to be 3 times over the limit. Yeah. And as Ben said, it was reported that he had only drank 2 drinks while he was at the Ritz, then being asked to come back on shift. So they were completely aware of his stability as well, as far as I'm concerned.
Receipts. There was a receipt.
And I think it's been proven actually that toxicology report can't be real. Like
they've said it's been manipulated.
Yeah, it would have had to smoke it would have had to have smoked like something like 400 fags to get that much carbon monoxide.
Right. I'm going to get to that monoxide bit as well, because that's another really interesting part. So allegedly he was 3 times over the limit. Again, with you guys and probably with everyone, it was reported immediately, like the next day, that he was drunk. Right, like that to me, that came out
drunk as a pig.
way too early.
Yeah.
Like within, so at 4 a.m. in France, it had been reported, and within, I don't know, like, sorry, JJ, go on.
Just gonna point out though, like in France, if you have one drink, I mean, Ben will probably be able to back me up on this one. You've been on tour
you've
in
been on
France.
tour there, yeah.
Been on tour in France. You have more than 2 drinks, and they're like English pig. And spit
Oh,
at
they
you.
are.
So, yeah, because they
Right.
fucking even though their beer is like fucking 1% or some shit, it's basically piss.
Yeah.
Sorry,
so,
French people. Sorry.
I love the French, so I will not have a
So-
bad word said about them.
he wasn't
Even if the police
drunk,
are
and
complicit in a cover-up of Diana's death.
Yeah. I truly believe that both Trevor and Diana, if they knew that Henri Paul was as pissed up as he was,
Apparently.
he wouldn't. He wouldn't. Trevor
no one
Reece
would have
Jones, for a
gotten-
start, a bodyguard and an ex-special forces, in a million years,
He would have gone,
approach.
you smell like
would
booze,
approach.
another driver.
Yeah, he would approach Mohammed and be like, he's fucking gazeboed, mate. We need someone else. Like, even Mohammed Al-Fayed wouldn't sit there and go up to someone that's 3 times over the limit at a bar that he owns. Like, I'm sorry, it just stinks immediately.
Yeah.
It is not fucking true.
That's not
now,
true.
so allegedly, he was 3 times over the limit, which I truly disbelieve.
Yeah.
The second most significant part that Ben mentioned that correlates with the 2 motorcycle clad men that approached the car that no one has been able to locate and that all the witnesses said was there, that they had allegedly injected carbon monoxide into Henri Paul's neck because apparently he had 30% or was it his blood was contained 30% carbon monoxide,
Yeah, it was
which
that.
allegedly coincides with someone either smoking 400 cigarettes or dying in a house fire or like
Yeah.
killing themselves by taking an
exhaust
exhaust
fumes,
pipe
yeah.
into a window. Like, so there was a few independent investigators that then decided to contact Mercedes, and people asked, are your airbags, do they contain carbon monoxide? Because allegedly the official report says that Henri Paul had breathed in the gases from the car that expelled the airbag, meaning that's how he got carbon monoxide within his lungs. People contacted Mercedes, and Mercedes said 2 things. 1, we do not use carbon monoxide at all, ever, in any of our cars. And 2, we do not want to be associated with this incident. And that was all they said.
Yeah, they
with
got
regards-
that's it. That's the only thing.
because they knew as a corporation they would sit there and be like, no, we're not taking responsibility,
Yeah.
as if to say
They
that
can't be
is
involved in
faulty
it,
when
yeah.
we know. Yeah, they cannot be complicit.
They didn't
So
even
that
do
is
a
the s-
review. They didn't. They were sent the car and they didn't do the tests. They didn't do any points on it.
2 glaring hallmarks, or 3 now so far, glaring
Also,
hallmarks of a
just another thing
conspiracy.
as well. If there was any emissions emitted by the car after the crash,
He wouldn't have breathed them in.
if they say exactly, if they say he died on impact, he wouldn't be breathing, or he wouldn't have been breathing long enough to inhale.
Exactly what. Exactly what I
full
was going
lung.
to. Exactly what I was going to
He
say at the end of that.
He was dead
He-
on impact, and then
He had died on impact, so
Booze him up.
therefore, yeah. When the airbag had been deployed, it would have been impossible for anything to get in his body because he was physically fucking dead.
Yeah.
And so that's just a complete contradiction in the story in itself. So, as well, what's interesting is the car has crashed, and now a Fiat Uno has been reported to have collided with the Mercedes, but prior had allegedly a flash had occurred.
Yeah.
Now I get mixed things about this
So
flash.
a lot of eyewitnesses have said like a flash went off that was so bright, and they even there's this. I looked it up. There's a gun, like there is a flash gun that they use to blind people, like momentary blind people.
Yeah.
And they were using that. That's why the paparazzi got blamed, because of this flash was so, like, eyewitnesses
So
have said
intense.
that's- But the paparazzi were nowhere near the car. They hadn't made it. The paparazzi didn't make it to the tunnel. That car was
No.
going a lot faster than those
Because
mopeds.
it went through the red light. Henri
Yeah.
Paul accelerated before it.
So this is the brief bit that I know about this tunnel part. Is They said the French authorities have reported that flash was a speed camera, and they said that the flash wasn't working. So the argument was that the flash did happen, but then when they said, "Oh, well, what was this flash?" to the French authorities, they went, "Oh, we don't know. We do have a camera, but it wasn't working."
Right.
But
Yes.
they've actually found a speeding ticket for a guy who went through it maybe 20 minutes earlier.
Really?
I don't know if you guys saw that.
No.
So they found this speeding ticket, and this is, I'm terrible with remembering shit, but so the guy, the guy who was found in the field in the burning car.
So, yes. So that was James
The
and
owner
Adnams
of the Fiat Uno.
and
Yeah, okay.
Anderson. Yeah. Sorry, I'll quickly add before you carry on, JJ.
Yeah, it's fine.
A journalist that has been
Paparazzi.
allegedly linked. Yeah, sorry.
He was paparazzi.
He was paparazzi, journalist, and also allegedly a mole or an informant for MI6. Just to quickly, one little thing before back to JJ. He was allegedly reported to be gloating to people about in the early 2000s that he was involved in the Diana accident and had particular photographs that would bring him significant money. So, JJ?
And then people said that he couldn't have possibly been there, and then later on, I'll let you talk about how he came to his demise. But going back onto the flash thing, this is one thing that boggled my mind. So if people are, because we haven't spoke about how they were apparently travelling at 120 kilometres an hour.
Yeah,
So
but they weren't.
technically they should have been back in 1985, like
Yeah.
trying to rescue their children from the demise of going to the royal family. But jokes aside, the flash that what they said it could have been the camera that's above the bridge to look down for the speeding camera. But they were later found that they told that the camera wasn't working, but then there is speeding tickets reported from earlier that day.
Yeah.
So either no
The
one
full
sped
mark.
up until that point,
Yep.
and there was only one guy, or that guy, or a couple of guys who sped that day. Bearing in
Yeah.
mind, it's a busy road, like it's just off the Champs-Élysées, I believe.
Yes,
Just,
yes,
round
it
the
is
corner from
indeed.
there. So it's a busy road. But yeah, so they've already found a guy who has a fucking speeding ticket.
That's fucking
and
crazy.
He immediately got that immediately got written off. So the guy probably didn't say anything. He was probably like, "Oh well, they've not contacted
Yeah.
me for my £60
shit.
or £30 if I paid in 7 days. So we'll sack that off." And he ripped up the evidence probably.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
But
That's
one
crazy.
Thing, one thing that I was questioning, so we all believed, don't we, that they weren't travelling 120 kilometres an
They
hour.
were doing
and
60 apparently.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the government said, or Mercedes or somebody said that. So the report was that the speed clock stopped at 120 kilometres, right?
Fuck off.
When it hit on impact. But Mercedes has said that would never happen because in the event of a crash, they would never be able to tell how fast. You wouldn't, because most people would skid. So the fact that it would stop is irrelevant. Like it.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's now said that they were travelling a maximum of 65 kilometres an hour, which is barely.
About 40.
Yeah.
And that's
So-
you could tell from the crash that wasn't 120 miles an hour.
If that was 120 miles an hour, that would look like
120
something that
kilometres.
would
At
have looked
60,
like
yeah.
There'd have been dust.
Yeah.
that'd have been Ayrton
But
Senna's
at 40,
car.
that's gonna happen at 40. You're gonna the crumple zones on the car are built to crumple. They're meant to
but-
do that. They're meant to crumple.
The first thing that I thought was all these paparazzi are following them. I think they had a lineup of 6 or 7 that they found, right? So they had them all lined up against.
They're
this
the
thing.
ones that are getting the blame, aren't they?
The paparazzi that fucking chased them, they were all on fucking mopeds.
Yeah.
yeah,
So
like Vespers and shit.
If you were that close to the car and you were travelling at 40 miles an hour, you would still, if it was a high impact collision, you would still have crashed yourself.
Yeah.
If you were that close. They were chasing them, and there's no way that a fucking Vespa with 2 people on it can go.
He's going to cause that.
A sidecar, trying to take photographs. There's no way that flash could have confused that driver.
No, no way.
It would have been nowhere near it, even if
No
they were
way.
travelling 40 miles an hour. There's
So-
2 people on a fucking 125 Vespa. It's
Yeah.
it'd have been going maximum 40 miles an hour.
Right.
Yeah.
And they would have crashed into the car. If they were taking
Makes-
photographs. It went from one side of the road
to the other
went
lane.
across into the middle lane, into the
Yeah.
reservation.
Yeah, but it was knocked in there by the Fiat Uno apparently.
by the
'cause
Fiat
it's-
Uno.
Yeah.
But did the Fiat Uno carried on, right? It didn't
Yeah,
stop.
it
Yes,
just
it,
tapped
yeah,
it.
it sped off.
Yeah, so
It
it
didn't
carried
stop.
on. Did
Yeah.
the rest of the guys on the Vespers just go?
No,
"Oh,
they
well,
didn't
we'll just-"
catch up. They caught up
Yeah.
after it happened. They didn't see it happen. They pulled
Yeah.
it. They got into the tunnel after it
Exactly.
happened. But
So
they-
there's no physical way the paparazzi could have made
Could have
that
caused
flash.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. That was the big thing. It was flash, and he was startled.
So what's interesting about that particular flash and Ben saying that they actually had them as like weapons? Oh, sorry, JJ, it was yourself with like powerful lights in that are capable of blinding people. And I can't remember what his name was on that unlawful killing documentary, but it was reported that MI6 had crafted an operation to take out Slobodan Milosevic in incredibly similar circumstances. Actually, I believe it was the ex-intelligence agent that was on that documentary that had said that there was a plan to get rid of Slobodan Milosevic, and it was basically the carbon copy of Diana's incident, which
Just
is
very similar to the war game that we were talking about on 7/7. It seems like let's test this out on somebody who England doesn't care about, and then fucking do it. And like I'm not going to quite go into it yet because it's one of the wilder ends of the conspiracy that I've read, but it's to do with later on. So I'll let you guys. But it's to do with the area that this all happened in, and it's fucking.
fuck it.
It's
I'm
fucking
looking.
wild.
We'll get to that then.
And
But,
I want you guys to carry on because I'm like.
So.
just that you know that there were 175 different conspiracy theories on how this all happened.
Fucking hell!
But they're all very similar in scenario. They're just all they're all a bit consequential of one thing. So if one thing, it's like if
it's
this,
different,
then
the
that.
other one's obsolete. Yeah.
So
I get you.
There's ideas that she did just die there, and that was it. But then, I mean. I'll let you guys continue because I don't know where you are in your research about it.
I wanted to get back to, as I was explaining, you were when we were talking about that paparazzi guy that was allegedly the MI6 informant, James Adnanson. He was a French photographer. He was found dead, excuse me, in a burnt-out BMW with 2 bullets in the back of his head. Now, what's significant
and no
about
car
it,
keys.
No car, right, yeah.
So how did he get there?
In his head.
2.
Right, hold on. He had 2 bullets in his head. So I'll read what I took from an article here. And it was the photographer accused of helping MI6 to murder Princess Diana was found in a burnt-out BMW with 2 holes in his head, a court heard today. James Adnanson died after boasting to his friends of having secretly taken explosive photos of the Paris crash scene. The Diana inquest, we're told. The Frenchman owned a white Fiat Uno, which Mohammed Al-Fayed claims he used to cause the fatal collision that killed the princess and his son Dodi. Now, that obviously points towards where the flash came from, this alleged Fiat Uno that had crashed into their Mercedes, causing them to hit the 13th pillar and kill the both of them, or 3 of them and 1 survivor. But the photographer was found dead in a burnt-out BMW with 2 holes in his head. He was accused of, blah, 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 helping MI6 to murder Princess Diana. Found dead in a field close to his home in his car that he had set on fire. And with diesel, by the way. Locked in to the car.
With no keys.
No keys were found, with 2 bullet holes in the back of his head. And it was reported as suicide. It's not a very, very well-known incident that is connected to this conspiracy. This guy thinks like a few years later, he's like, oh, yeah, I've got a few photos of that. Oh, I was being told this and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So allegedly
he thinks he
an
can
informant.
blackmail probably, and he was probably going, if you don't fucking give me more money, I'm going to release these to the press.
It makes me wonder.
No, you're not.
It makes me wonder, like, if he sits there, he sat there and he's like, oh, it's been a few years. No one's going to find out about me if I just tell Dave down the pub. Like, he ain't going to say anything. He ain't probably going to believe me. And then he gets found in a field, in his car, locked, on fire, with diesel, by the way, that doesn't burn very easily, with 2 bullet holes in the back of his head. That's the first incredibly strange person suddenly not existing.
Yeah. That obviously that is just that links the Fiat Uno big time to the crime. But then apparently that Fiat Uno was on blocks at the time, and he wasn't in the country, but he was like he's been found that he was in Paris that night.
Yeah.
It's like,
and that was but what's also interesting is talking about other people that no longer exist that were allegedly MI6 informants. In actual fact, Henri Paul was reported as to being an MI6 informant. What was significant about it is on his person, as they quote it, he had at least 2,000 francs, or was it 2,000 pounds? I don't know.
Francs it was, but he'd had 3
separate bank accounts,
3 separate checks for 30,000 francs or something that he paid into his bank account, or 80,000.
Yeah, the weird thing was he had a significant amount of money on himself in his bank account and in several bank accounts, considering it was reported that he only made around £20,000 a year, was it?
36,000 or something like that.
Sorry, like 30,000 a year.
Yeah, but he had 240,000 francs in his account.
He had a significant amount of cash found in each of his bank accounts after his death.
And it was all paid in by check.
And his father also reported that a couple of days before, had asked for £1,000 loan or £1,000 loan. So also a ex-intelligence agent on the unlawful killing documentary had also reported that a person with intelligence connections or MI6 connections had reported that he had seen a file on Henri Paul within MI6 and had seen vast details of his personal life and this, that, the other, and was just, why the fuck do we have a file on this guy? Allegedly an informant. So a lot of people do have a theory that Henri Paul was almost like a plant in the sense of that he was to be involved himself, possibly following a completely different plan. Like we discussed with the 7/7 bombing, the bus bomber, who almost walked around like he didn't know what was going on and was used as a kind of like a patsy, I guess. But
it feels that way.
Indirectly being linked to the death. Like, don't worry, we've got saying what we want you to do is pull him in this train yard and then we're going to kidnap her or blah, blah, blah. Whereas instead, they're actually planning on offing this MI6
makes
informant.
A lot of sense based on the fact that he was going the wrong way to Dodi's apartment.
He took a different route, didn't he?
The wrong route.
And
he
no
was going
one knows
long
why.
way out of the way in that route. So
And this
that
is what leads me
does kind of make it sense.
Well, it does. It adds so much weight to it for the fact that there was vast amounts of cash found in his accounts that he shouldn't really have had, and no one really knows where they came from.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that his toxicology report was completely and utterly bananas to what had actually occurred.
Yeah.
It does sound like to me, if it is the possibility that Henri Paul was an MI6 informant, he was operating a different plan to the one that was really going to happen, that did happen. That's
it does seem like an MI6 kind of
thing to
playbook thing. But and at the time, and up until very recently, MI6 have denied that they've ever been involved in the killing of anyone ever. Up until very, very recently.
Is it their sole job?
Yeah. Well, yeah. And anyone who doesn't, I think most of our listeners are in the UK, but anyone who's listening elsewhere, MI6 is basically the CIA. But MI6 works on international stuff. MI5 works on national stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
stuff that's
national
based
sort of
in
things.
in the UK. It'd be MI5 would be dealing with it. Stuff that's dealing in international waters, MI6 take care of, and I think that's where they can be a bit more dodgy,
A bit more naughty in
bit more
their
naughty. But
things.
allegedly, he was an informant. And Anderson was an informant.
Yep.
But
And
yeah.
they're both dead in mysterious
Both
circumstances.
dead in mysterious
And
circumstances.
the other glaring one, as I said at the start of this episode, how this conspiracy has every single hallmark that categorizes what conspiracy or what falls under a conspiracy is after leaving the Ritz at around 12:30 at night, or 12:19, I think it was, that image of Dodi, Diana, Trevor Reece Jones, and Henri Paul in the lift about to leave the Ritz is the last image of CCTV that
because
anybody
the CCTV in Paris that night wasn't working.
No CCTV in the area and on the journey of the route that they took to that
Was
tunnel.
working.
None of them worked.
No,
pubs.
banks.
Yep,
no,
no
pubs. Nothing. There was
Nothing.
nothing.
There were no independent CCTV footage or cameras found to have functioning recordings at that time, which to me, I'm sorry, get
I
to
smell
fuck.
bullshit. I can
Get
smell
to-
bullshit.
Get the fuck out of here. There is in no way, shape, or form that the Champs-Elysees area of Paris had not one piece of security camera footage available. But
Un sac
as
de
JJ
merde, as the French would say.
as JJ mentioned, someone happened to actually get a speeding ticket that night, apparently. So there is my glare. That was
Yeah.
the biggest. That journey there along the Champs-Elysees, not one fucking camera.
No cameras.
Liars.
All broken.
Absolute
all
liars.
broken.
I think one of the big ones as well for me, like the hugest one there, is the fact that, and it's just too coincidental, the fact that it's in a tunnel.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, like, so you're immediately blocking out 180 degrees of viewing, like, across. You've
It's
literally
fucking
got
clever.
You've got two angles, you've got loads of pillars down the middle, and then people are like, yeah, but there's no pillars just down the middle of the street. I was like, have you ever fucking been to France? It's hard enough to drive through there.
Oh,
at 20
Paris
miles
is a
an hour.
night. Paris is
It's
a nightmare
awful.
for driving it, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Arc de Triomphe roundabout isn't
Yeah.
like. Oh,
So-
fuck
Just
that.
just trying to get parked up like outside a venue is impossible. There's like these thin metal bollards just like, everywhere. It's impossible. Like there's no way they got to above 60 kilometers an hour because you can't in Paris.
Yeah.
Even though, and
Like-
bear in mind the roads were empty that night. There's nothing on the street, which leads
No.
me to my next point: the ambulance.
Yeah. This is
The
the
what?
big.
The
The
ambulance.
Oh yes, sorry, right, yes, of
Ambulance.
course.
I'm saying it with a weird accent that I don't understand where it's from.
Ambulance.
But first, so Diana was alive after the crash. She was walking around. She was conscious. She was.
She weren't walking around, I don't think.
I'm not
She
sure
was.
she was walking.
She was walking around. She just had a broken arm. She was walking around.
Well, no,
They
I
are-
ain't
the
read
doctor-
that anywhere.
Dr. Frederick was driving past on the other side of the road. He got there and she was walking around and he had a conversation with her. He
Oh, that
talked
was
to her.
that
Dr.
Frederick Myers, right?
Dr.
Yeah,
Frederick
the guy
Myers.
that-
He said she was walking around, she was alive, and she was completely conscious. Oh no, the power's gonna go. No, it's not.
Oh, no.
The battery went on this.
sorry for
I shit myself
audio
then.
people on Ben's cameras. His lights went out and he immediately jumped as if to think the fucking power was going again.
Alistair Crowley's back.
Right.
Our man Crowley.
so yes,
Oh, and I've got a great one about this later.
And she was conscious. She talked to him. What happened about that after that, we do not know. But the ambulance arrived, and it took. Right, this is crazy. She was given CPR at the scene. Apparently, she went into shock and she
Went in and had a heart attack, right, yeah.
That's the official story. But the doctors think there could have been internal bleeding, obviously. So that's the thing. So and hemorrhaging.
right.
So yeah, so she went into shock and she had a heart attack at the scene. They gave her CPR. She regained consciousness and she got into the ambulance. The ambulance then took an hour and 43 minutes to get to the hospital. The hospital was 5 miles away on empty streets. And they passed
at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
and they passed 2 other hospitals on the way.
That's
Then,
yeah.
when it arrived at the hospital, it waited at the front gate for 10 to 15 minutes.
What the fuck?
And then she died
Now-
of a heart attack.
And now, so I too looked at it because I'm baffled at that ambulance situation as much as everybody else.
Yeah.
And I recall someone, I believe, funnily enough, it was the conspiracy guys, those conspiracy guys that had also reported on it, that in France, their paramedics and ambulances are very, they do things a little different. Whereas I guess in the UK and in the US, if something happens, they get you in the ambulance and they get you to that surgery table immediately, if that's what the case is. Allegedly in France, they're like ready to do it on the move,
They
sort
can
of
do,
thing.
yeah.
If their way of doing things is if they can see something's going to go south, i.e., Diana had internal bleeding at that time. From what I was led to believe was that the paramedics and the French paramedics and surgeons or ambulance workers in general, they would begin operating in the back of that ambulance there and then. If she's going into shock, they need to massage the heart. They're opening her up there and then. And the reason that they were traveling so slow was the G's could screw around with the blood pressure while the car is moving if they're in a particular position where they're performing surgery.
You would just park up, surely.
Just to
Well,
clarify,
then
the G's aren't Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg.
Or Warren G.
Oh,
Warren G. But yes, so
I heard that. I heard that they also stopped. I heard that they stopped in the middle of the traffic because her blood pressure had dropped so drastically. But that was 45 minutes into the journey.
right. So
And I when I went away, obviously I can hear, but I just had to do something.
Yeah.
I heard that I heard a wee.
I've had 3.
I heard just in the garden. I heard that it was 3 miles away, the hospital.
Well, there was,
either way, though, it's fucking close.
They passed 2 other hospitals as well. The thing is, it was just like, it feels like that was just like, you guys have got to fucking end her net. Like, she's not dead.
Yeah.
She's just like trying to get up. She's like, no, I'm absolutely fine.
I'm actually fine. No, you're having a heart attack.
She's just like that with the paddles.
It's like that scene in Lock, Stock where they get the traffic warden and he wakes up in the back and just knocking him out each time. How are we going to do it? Oh, I think I'm coming round now.
Yeah, but yeah,
Shut up, Gil.
Like, I mean, obviously we don't know. She could have been having internal hemorrhaging and got into shock, but the way it's led to believe by this Dr. Frederick, she was totally conscious and she was walking around. She was talking. She had a broken arm, which is the injury you get if you're wearing a seatbelt is a broken arm or a dislocated shoulder. That's all you get. And she had that. She had injuries that lined up with wearing a seatbelt. So I think they chucked her in there and then they killed her.
As you said, that he was talking to her and that he had mentioned, hold on, I've even written it down. He'd reported in saying that Diana looked the best of the lot, and was saying she still looked pretty or she still looked beautiful. Whereas if you Google...
the other ones were dead, so...
Dead and 50-year-old men.
She was fucked her.
She was...
And he's French, like that's where he's probably trying to get in her pants.
Not to malign the French.
Better than these people. Come in my hotel.
Sorry, is he Indian?
Yeah. No, that's the other guy. Oh no.
But what's interesting is if you Google, did any of you guys see the leaked picture of allegedly Diana in the car? Like one of the pictures that was that they believe James Adnanson could have possibly have taken, like coming back to the scene after he'd exited. Her face is it's very pixelated, it's very low quality, but her face is mutilated. Like there is in no way, shape, or form that you can say she looked fine. You see the image,
it's
Ben's
fake.
looking.
It's fake. It's been.
Is that definitely fake?
It's been said it's fake. Yeah.
Oh right, good.
Who said it was fake? MI6.
Deafgallery.net is a fake apparently. Yeah, that's nowhere. That's her. No.
Yeah. So so that's just testament to the fact that he's just talking shit, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way that, in my opinion, there's no way that that she was in a good state.
Yeah, so they said that because it said that she was out of the car and she was moving around and she was
fucking
talking,
nuts.
right? And they said they had to cut her out the car, but that's not true. The doctor said that she was out of the car.
Sorry, we're just hearing JJP in again, I think.
No. I was just filling my water bottle up. I'm getting thirsty.
So
Goodbye.
So Ben, what's your thought then with the? Do you think that they were planning something in the back of the ambulance, that they were killing her basically?
It depends how deep it goes. Like, you know, could these guys that had just done the motorcycle thing be the ambulance drivers as well?
Right, that's what I'm saying. Anything's fucking possible because it looked like a Hollywood movie as it was.
Yeah. It was like, I don't know. I mean, all I know is that they were in that ambulance for a very long time. And they sat at the front gate.
JJ.
They sat at the front gate of the hospital for 15 minutes.
It's definitely odd. It's definitely odd. Even considering that allegedly that they operate and do these things on the way here and there, it's a fucking long time.
Yeah.
Too long.
Right, boys. So before this whole scenario leaves this tunnel, I don't know how much... I remember reading this maybe about 10 years ago, but have you ever heard about the ritual murder of Princess Diana?
No. Oh my God.
God.
First
Are we getting
Bryan
into
Adams and
magic
Kevin
now?
Costner.
Are we getting into magic now?
We possibly could be getting into magic, but I just I don't want to talk too much about it now because I'll put the link in the thing, but I want to just tell you just this other theory. So around when maybe it was like 4 years afterwards, they built a monument to her called the Flame of Liberty, and they built it on top of the tunnel.
Yep.
So apparently the Flame of Liberty is an ancient symbol of basically like a trophy. So it's like so hang on, I'll send you the thingy so you can read for it. It's such a long.
Oh,
article,
so it's basically the flame that's on the Statue of Liberty. Yeah.
Yeah. This is a very, very, very long story, and I still don't really know the gist of it. But it is believed that it was a planned sacrificial killing of Diana to basically along the same lines as Bilderberg, like to the god. Yeah,
does not surprise me.
Right, I'll send you the link. It's one of them, we could probably have a whole other episode on it, but I just want to put the link in there because it's one of the things that I started looking into when I started getting into like, all these people who run the world actually have a lot of control over everything. So this big flame has something to do with the Illuminati and blah, blah, blah. And apparently that is the reason why, it sounds so far-fetched, but that is the reason why it was the 13th pillar. And it was all like planned, like there was like spikes on the floor and stuff to fucking... And one of the big things before we go into everything else was that the evidence was pretty much just washed away straight away. Like
they cleaned it. Yeah, they cleaned their whole evidence.
Anyone who's ever been to Paris, it's a fucking shithole.
It's a shithole, yeah.
It literally is. It's literally
anything.
dog shit everywhere. It's not as bad as Milan, but
so
Paris
why on this one fucking day where the prince or princess of fucking England dies?
And she was still the princess. She was just not royal.
They disinfected the walls.
Yeah.
They don't even clean the fucking. You know, have you ever been to Disneyland Paris? It's like hell. It's fucking
no, I don't want
bins
to.
overflowing with like fucking children's limbs like perking out of it. Fucking horrendous.
That was
even
definitely
the
something
Americans are embarrassed about it because it's linked to Disney.
It's
Like Disney don't own Disneyland Paris. That's another fucking weird thing. It's a franchise.
Oh my God.
Which is. But anyway, it's if anyone's interested, it's called The Falsification of History.
I need to look into this.
It's basically a very, very, very long article.
Jesus
about,
Christ, yeah.
A lot of pictures.
hopefully
I
there's
read it a
someone's
long
written.
time ago, and I just, because we moved the podcast forward, I didn't get around to reading it all.
That's fine. You can do a standalone for the Patreon.
Yeah, there you go.
Just you reading it.
Story time with
Thank you
JJ.
to all our fans. I'm just here, JJ, reading this big long fucking bull story about some
From my
queen
phone, but it's burning my hand. It's so hot.
So, as JJ mentioned and Ben have mentioned, like after the incident occurred, I can't remember exactly how many hours it was, but yeah, they decided to absolutely clean up the scene of the crime.
They don't do that for any. You never
Yes.
see that. There's like debris from road accidents for weeks and years to come, man. Like, especially in England.
And this one, they've just thrown Dettol absolutely everywhere,
Crazy.
like straight after, which again is a flag, like another like hallmark of a conspiracy.
Massive.
The evidence being
on there.
tampered with immediately. And another one that links into that is Diana's body was embalmed illegally.
Partially embalmed, and
Yeah,
she had and they gave her a hysterectomy. Post-mortem.
So
You know-
this then leaks into the concept that she could have been pregnant, but you two don't believe that, do you?
I don't believe she was pregnant, but the fact that they're still
They couldn't
performing all of this
They couldn't
random
do any tests on her body. They couldn't do any tests
Because
on how
of the
she died
embalming.
or anything because they embalmed her straight away.
Why
Which they
would
don't
you
do.
give someone a hysterectomy?
She was. That was if she was pregnant. I guess they probably
Right.
didn't want to leave any evidence just in case. They wanted to just get rid of it all.
but
And
like,
a sperm trail.
Yeah.
the last time something like that happened, like an illegal tampering with a body, I think, of such a leading figure was John F. Kennedy. And everybody believes he was offed by their own government and CIA.
Accidentally though. That was an accident, man.
Yeah, well
Drunken accident.
that'll be another one. That's another one.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
that-
that is mental that happened.
yeah, so that's kind of really in closing when it comes to the incidents immediately after the car crash, because then at 4 a.m. she was pronounced dead, like 2 hours. The 2-hour journey that it took to get to the hospital.
She died on the.
I'm
She
not
died on the
fucking
way to the hospital.
surprised.
She died on the way to the hospital.
Right.
You know, when you're driving back from a festival on the last day, you're just like, oh my god,
I'm gonna
this
die.
2-hour fucking journey. Like, she's probably just like, you know, she'd had a couple of drinks at that hotel and she was just like, fucking hell, I need to get
It's
home.
for me. It's if we were playing conspiracy bingo, we would have ticked every single box.
Oh yeah.
It's
Hallmarks all over the place.
and we're not even gone to like the aftermath or anything. Like this is the night of
It's
it
fucking
happening.
crazy.
And then
Absolutely
the Queen's
fucking
response
crazy.
was mental. Like, yeah.
So that kind of deals with the fact that she's now dead in the story. Like the incidents occurred, boom. Now
She's gone.
it's the aftermath. We've already touched on one part of the aftermath with that James, Adnanson. Him being,
James Adnanson.
excuse me, him being killed a few years later for
And the
posting,
Queen's
allegedly.
response, we talked about that, how it was mismanaged, and then she had to go and do another one, which was made up with some crocodile tears and stuff.
Yeah, yep. It's safe to say that I believe, like you said, Ben, that I don't think they anticipated the reaction that the royal family received because after the death.
Yeah.
It was cold. It's
Yeah,
the
and
best
do you
fucking
know
word.
what? It could have been the downfall of the Royals. I think if Queen hadn't done what she did in time, it
Yeah.
could have been like, fuck you guys. But the reason, because it would have been a waste of Diana's death, because that was the reason they got off her. I think, in my opinion, is that she was getting bigger than the Royals, and she was going to break them down. She was going to pull that whole monarchy down. It would have been gone. I think if she was alive today, we wouldn't have a royal family.
No. Well, yeah, if we didn't
wouldn't
have
be-
a royal family, they wouldn't be as significant as they are now.
No.
And
I
Prince
think
Andrew
she
would be locked up already.
And I don't doubt that she probably had loads of shit on Andrew, loads of shit on
without doubt.
Savile. Like, Savile was Charlie's best friend. Don't forget. Like,
Yeah.
he was in and out of the palace. So someone linked an article on the Discord, and if you haven't already
Vicky.
joined the Discord,
Yeah,
please join the Discord,
Descriptiono.
because loads
And,
of
it's,
stuff happens on there.
It's funny, like you saying, like Prince Charles was friends, like really good friends with Jimmy Savile. I think it was like Joe Rogan said it on his podcast about Epstein. He was like, "There's no way you can hang out with a dude so much and not know how he fucks."
Yeah,
Like, I think that small little kind of sentence is so significant. Like, even with Epstein and stuff like that, like Trump, for instance, there's no way you can be best friends with him and not know that he's a dirty oik.
yeah,
You know,
like,
yeah. So, is there anything you've got in your notes? I'm all out of my notes when it comes to like the aftermath.
I've got the press have always been scared of the royal family, and they very rarely do they write anything detrimental to the royal family.
It's eggshells with Prince Andrew at the minute, but it's not like they can't report it. So
But
times have changed.
But they don't report it like this paedophile is getting away with it. They report it
Right,
as
yeah.
alleged this, alleged that. Like, oh,
I understand what you're saying.
Like, it's all very like impartial, or
Yes,
it's either
yes.
partial or impartial. It's never it's never against. It's very biased opinion. And what I really wanted to get on is that how bullshit the inquest was.
See, I've not heard the full inquest myself.
So the inquest was basically the guy who was running the inquest was a lord of the royal court. He's a royal court. The inquest was done in a royal court. Therefore, everyone who is a magistrate or a lord or a judge or anything has sworn an oath to the Queen.
Yeah.
They don't swear an
what
oath
does
to
that tell
God.
you?
They swear an oath to the Queen. Therefore, they're there to protect the Queen. That is their oath.
It's their duty to protect the Queen.
Throughout the inquest
Bear
that
in
he was
mind,
leading.
you can still get beheaded for ripping a £5 note up, apparently. So, like, imagine what the guy is like.
Can't rip them up anymore though. If you
Yeah, well, that's it. You could melt them or put them in a microwave.
So yeah, the inquest was proper
No,
biased.
it's not the royal family.
The inquest was messed up.
So it was the whole time they were leading it to be accidental death, careless driving, accidental death. But the inquest found guilty. The guys on the motorbike and the Fiat Uno were found guilty of unlawful killing, and that was never put in the press. It was paparazzi or it was an accident. That's how.
Yeah.
If you ask anyone, they'll think, oh, it was the inquest found it was an accident. An accident.
It was
a
either,
accident.
it was
accident.
It was the Fiat.
Papa
Roach.
It was the
Papa Roach did it.
It was the Fiat Uno and the motorcyclists with the flashing light that were accused, but yet obviously the media were just like, "Well, forget about that." Oh, those damn journalists.
Yeah, and
those
they
damn
lined up these 8 paparazzi guys that were the first.
Oh, yeah, with
on the
numbers
scene,
on them and everything.
but it wasn't them.
Yeah,
it
in the
was,
world's
they weren't even the guys.
smallest
They weren't the guys,
They're all just like that.
and they weren't the
Sorry,
guys.
mate.
That there's no one has ever been prosecuted for it.
No
one.
no.
Even but it was the 2 motorcyclists on the super bikes and the Fiat Uno driver were the.
They were the people that were responsible
And
for
they
it.
are,
One of them was.
they have been convicted, but they have not been prosecuted because they've never been found.
It's got all the hallmarks for a conspiracy, like I said at the beginning of this episode.
Even though the jury found that the guy who was running the inquest was purely accidental.
Yep.
No matter what
Because
you've
then it
heard
would
here,
lead.
please be aware that this was most likely an accidental death from dangerous driving. And even the jury were like, nah, it was this. You're an
Yeah.
idiot. Like they could tell he was leading the witness, and obviously, like he's biased to the Queen. Like,
Well, of course.
yeah.
So, but any independent inquest would immediately find it's a fucking.
And it was meant to be
conspiracy.
independent.
Yeah,
It was
meant to be.
independent. But the
Yeah,
press
of
weren't
course.
interested. If you watch Unlawful Killing, there's like quotes of the press tent because they had a mole in the press tent. The
Yeah.
guys behind Unlawful Killing, and they weren't interested. The BBC's royal correspondent was asleep.
correspondent, yeah.
Was asleep the whole time. But why was the royal correspondent? It should have been the legal correspondent, surely.
Right, it should have been.
Yeah.
The
it's-
groom
don't
of
know.
the stool was asleep the whole time. The groom of the stool was asleep, and in consequence,
Yeah.
Henry VIII had shit his pants,
But then
resulting in him being beheaded.
I would say, like, and to Diana's defense, she never ever went public with any of the royal gossip that she knew about. She did toe the line. She was dangerous, but she towed the line. I think.
She's just fucking smart, mate. She knew what she was doing.
She knew
to
what
a
she was
degree.
doing all along.
Yeah,
She did,
to
and
a
she
degree.
knew but I think she was getting fed up of it, and she was ready to go public with something. I think something was about to happen. That's why she was off. It can't
Yeah.
just be that she was going to have a Muslim's baby. That can't be it. Can it?
No, it can't just be the single or the risk of a Muslim being associated to the royal bloodline. It couldn't have only been that. There
She
has
was
to have
getting
been more
too. She was
significant.
getting too big. I think that's what it was.
You've kind of got to think as well, like she was going towards that whole like people person type thing, and being
Right.
like British, like especially
Over
now
royalty.
what's going on with fucking refugees and stuff. Like
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, she's the people's princess. Oh, but she's marrying a Muslim. I don't know if I
Yeah.
can get on board with that. She's
Yeah.
kind of like, maybe from an outside point of view, it was kind of like people like, oh, we're starting to lose faith in like British people's, you know, because you've got
Like
you
a
have got- you've got
patriotism
your-
thing.
Yeah, you've got a lot of fucking royalists in England. Like they love the royal
Oh, God,
family,
yeah.
and I
Yeah.
just can't understand why.
No,
of
me
the,
neither.
One of the weird
Because they're good for
things that
tourism. No.
Yeah. Well, we've spoke about this, haven't we? So,
Yeah.
you know, they've removed the coat of arms off the Buckingham Palace.
Yeah.
They have.
Yeah, but Dodi Al Fayed did it on all the Harrods. And
Oh
burned
no, he
them
got
all.
asked to. That's what I forgot about that. Don't because Mohammed Al Fayed was so like against the Queen and he was coming out about it. They asked him to remove the royal emblems from Harrods, and now they sit in the field. They were sitting in the field where Dodi's monument
Body
is,
is.
and he burnt
Yeah.
them.
He burnt them on
Burnt
that
them.
documentary.
On
It's
that
like this
documentary.
big fucking like
Burnt them.
Wow.
with
weird,
emblems. Yeah,
weird
man.
Guy Fawkes night thing.
It
where
was
it's like-
gangster. It was the most
Yeah.
gangster move.
And
From the
it's
man
so
who's got
funny,
a
there's-
statue of Michael had a statue of Michael Jackson at Fulham.
Yeah.
That was the least gangster thing, and the most gangster thing he did was burn them.
I remember when they unveiled that. And then
Do you
everyone
reckon?
was
Because
just like,
obviously
"Oh."
there was a statue of Dodi and Diana in Harrods for a long while as well.
Yeah.
There was.
Yeah. Do you reckon
never
he's
knew
now?
that.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
reckon he's now got that statue and the Michael Jackson statue at his house?
Just sitting in a cupboard somewhere.
Big fucking cupboard.
yeah, well, I haven't seen the
He's a big
statue.
house. He's got a fucking tent in his garden to sit next to his son's grave. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
did you guys speak about? Obviously, I went for another piss. Did you guys speak about how she might have been coming out about Prince Andrew? I heard you talking about Prince Andrew.
I said, what did she
didn't
know about
elaborate.
it? We just said she must have known about Andrew being a fucking
Yeah.
ass.
Because that's something that was probably around that time anyway. Like that whole picture.
Yeah, it
of-
would have been, yeah.
Yeah, it would have been.
early, like 94, 95 times.
Yeah.
So-
Fucking hell, that must have been hell of a roller coaster.
Well, she would have known the gossip that was going on around this. So we'd go, bloody
without
hell,
doubt.
Andrew's been banging 12-year-olds again.
Yeah, and I think one of the things is with that, she's
It's
kind
all right.
of
We've got
like-
this no sweating thing that we're going to
She-
use.
She separated herself from the family that much that like just like a bitter ex-girlfriend.
Right.
Also not bitter, but she's bitter about how the way she's been treated for so long.
Yeah.
So she's like super happy she's got this new boyfriend and like, oh, this is so good. But then she's like, but I've still got loads of resentment for the years that they put me through of fucking like, you know, shit. Like
yeah.
that kind of bitter ex-girlfriend vibe of like that
Yeah.
must have been constantly like playing on Charles and the Queen and Philip's
But she-
brains because
they
we
were-
always target those three, like we always target the
Yeah.
big
We
three.
don't, Andrew.
Yeah,
what is
Andrew's
he, really?
fucking worthless, and he's just like even they've just been like, come on, fuck off, Andrew. Like we, you know,
Andrew.
go
Like,
fuck
he's
it
always
somewhere
been like
else.
that one that they've gone, oh, fucking hell. Like, fucking Andrew. He's a fucking
Yeah.
idiot, though.
Don't
He's the
invite
worst one.
Andrew.
Oh,
Just don't
So
invite
that's-
Andrew. Why did
Andrew's
you invite
here.
Andrew?
Because apparently she got along really well with Margaret, and there was a really like strong bond between Diana and Margaret. But there's another one you don't see a lot. She's just
Right.
kind of like on the outskirts, like Margaret, and she was always apparently. I don't know if you guys have seen is it the Windsors, the TV show?
No.
no.
It's fantastic. It's really, really good. But it kind of shows her as like the playful, like slutty one, and I think that's why they had a bond because they were.
Both
They
sides.
were the kind of like the outcasts of the, you know,
Yeah.
we're the royal
Yeah,
family,
yeah.
but we're still people. We should
Yeah.
still have lives. And I think that was the thing that scared, for me personally, I think that's the thing that scared them the most because as soon as you put yourself down to a personal level, you then lose power. You become,
Yes, of course.
You know, you become amongst the people. People
You
don't
drop- yeah,
respect,
you- Yeah.
respect you anymore. So
It's
the
like-
the idea, because they were saying on a couple of podcasts, they were like how the Queen's just like just a proper little angry old woman who's just like fuck this and fuck that and I don't fuck. She's not Australian, but fuck this and fuck that. All South African. But apparently she's just like, you know, like a hyacinth bouquet. She just fucking hates everything and like she thinks she's better than everyone and she's just like, you know, and I think that's probably why those guys didn't get along. Whereas in Margaret apparently was like her role model. So anytime she fucked up in public, Margaret would just be like, tap her on the leg and just be like, no, do it, do it like this.
Yeah,
And then they won't bother you. So basically, it sounds like that's what Margaret's gone through.
Right.
It is Princess Margaret, isn't it?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Queen's sister. There's Princess Margaret and Princess Anne, isn't there?
They make like goddamn rabbits, so there's bloody loads of them.
Yeah. But it's
Bloody
either Margaret or Anne, but one of them had a really close relationship with her. And she was the one who suggested that she went to like an etiquette thing.
Yeah.
Because she said you won't last long in this family if you don't follow their rules or something.
Of course, yes. Yeah, I do remember that in actual fact.
And it's right in the beginning. And it was pretty much straight after that dress thing, I think. I think it was like, you can't go around dressing like a slut, dear, I'm afraid.
Dear.
I did it for years, but I would highly recommend everyone to watch The Windsors. It's fantastic.
Check it out, man, yeah.
I genuinely think that she was just dangerous to them, and she was just undermining their power by being so blatant with her, being normal and nice, and trying to use her. She was trying to use her princess title for good. I genuinely think that she was.
I do.
I think she was. I know JJ doesn't believe it, but I think she was.
No, it's not. No, it's not that. I'm not backtracking. I'm saying I feel that her intentions were strong for what she believed in, but then I feel after the marriage broke apart, I feel that she was trying to gain points. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I feel like,
I'd see that a bit.
She hasn't. When she was doing it part of her royal duties, she probably was quite like, oh, I like this. This is my part in the royal family. But as soon as they broke apart, the kind of
she
idea
then knew
that
she
would
could
just
do
be
what she
tossed
wanted
off to the
then.
west. Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what tells me that she was more human than she was royal? Was when she took her boys to Alton Towers and she turned down special treatment. She turned down fast track. She queued up with everybody. That to me is a
sick hard
down fast track.
At Alton Towers.
She wore a sick Hard Rock Cafe bomber jacket. I like rock music. I shagged Brian Adams, and he's rock. He gave me this jacket. This is Brian's jacket.
I love that. I love that shit. Like I thought that was like pro move in my book at least. Like
she knew right.
Oh, sorry.
I believe her intentions were good, and she was a good person, and she knew how to keep it on the side. She was like, okay, I have to do it this way because if I start being snooty and going, oh yes, I'm the princess, people are gonna go, oh, like they won't mind. They'll expect. Well, they won't mind because they'll expect it because I'm a princess. They won't be pissed off if I get preferential treatment. But if I turn it down, they're gonna fucking love that. They will love that. But like they won't mind if I do because they'd expect it. They go, yeah, of course you're the fucking Diana. Like, of course you're gonna get go on first. Like, whatever.
We also didn't speak about how she, even though she obviously fell out of love with Prince Charles very quickly in the grand scheme of things, we also didn't talk about how passionate she was about him and the fact that she felt she was never loved by him. It was always about Camilla.
Whatever love means.
Yeah. But she developed, we haven't also talked about, she developed bulimia, didn't she? Because she felt she wasn't good enough for...
She said she'd rather harm herself than harm the royal family and their perception by being public or being publicly depressed and sad.
It sounds like the last couple of years of her life were probably her happiest because by the sounds of it sounds like her childhood was dog shit, and even getting into the royal family and the marriage was just horrendous.
The 90s were all right.
That was a big thing where they said people started noticing that it was because publicly they didn't separate, did they? But they said at her dad's funeral he was literally nowhere to be seen, like consoling her. She was like looking after the kids and like walking around with the kids, and Prince Charles was just going around there shaking hands with her.
I'm that pompous twat, her husband.
Yeah.
Don't look at my hands. They look like a packet of Richmond sausages.
Oh God. But yeah, she developing bulimia, mental health issues. How on earth she managed to keep herself together, being quite possibly the most famous person on the planet, other than Michael Jackson? Like, if Michael Jackson was having a day off, it was being the best, most
There's so many links.
Sorry, go on, JJ.
That could have been another thing as well. If you've got somebody who's mentally unstable,
Yeah.
who's knows all this history about you. Again, not just someone who might be a bit bitter about her ex-boyfriend, because like you said in the final days, Dean, she looked like she was having a great time. She wasn't bothered about the. She
didn't give a fuck.
She's come to terms with the fact she's probably going to get photographed for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
But then she had those moments. God, we sound like a right soppy bunch. This is all gone from royal. She had these final moments.
Goodbye in control.
Getting dicked by Dodi on his massive yacht.
With his massive dinghy.
Yeah. He flew his big rubber dinghy right down my canal, I tell you.
I tell you, I do declare. But yeah, you're correct in saying that a mentally unstable person that knows quite a possible shit ton of dirt on the royal family.
Yeah.
We don't
They kind
really
of
want that
gaslighted
running
her
around.
a bit, I think. They gaslighted
Sorry?
her a bit. They were gaslighting her a bit in the press about
Yes.
it. Like, making,
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
unstable, she's crazy. Like, yeah, it wasn't.
But that's what they do with everybody. Like, this is when somebody starts talking the truth, they just tie you with a crazy brush, don't they?
and then suicide.
That's a known thing. Like, the word conspiracy, like we talk about all the time. It was a word invented to basically just tar people with the crazy brush.
Yeah.
Instead of just like, I mean, the conspiracy, not another conspiracy podcast.
Yeah.
It's because we're not, man.
We're slightly different.
sister.
We're slightly different to the rest.
So we'll bring it back round with regards to the conspiracy. So first and foremost, I'll go to Jay. What do you how do you think it unfolded? Who do you think's responsible?
Well, this thing that I read, I'm like, oh,
Whatever responsible
God.
is.
Whatever responsible means. I mean, it's 100% a hit. I have no doubt about that.
It's 100% a whack.
If there was no other consequence of it, like the other people like dying and stuff like that, like it's just a hit. Like there's nothing that I can say that's gonna be like.
You're talking
Like
shit,
you
like,
said,
oh, of course she just
yeah.
died. Yeah.
There's too much of a doctoring of things. I don't necessarily think that she was coming out about something, but I feel she might have started becoming a bit of a loose cannon.
Agreed, yeah, totally.
That, you know, like, as soon as you start living that playboy life where you're on a yacht all day and drinking champagne and probably doing cocaine down the whole side of the yacht in one massive bump, you know, I think that's.
Do you want to see a picture of Charlie's dick? Yeah, go on,
Yeah. There you go. On a carrying a wide.
We didn't even
TV
talk about when
That's your
just a
photo album.
Quick one. When
Sorry,
she was
Ben, yeah.
asked about what sex was like with Charles in that candid interview with her old with the coach she'd hired to help her with her public speaking.
Oh, the
she
linguistic.
Said,
Yeah.
well, it was very odd. Oh. Wait,
He
what?
wanted me to play a little boy.
His tongue turns into a bit of a lizard-like thing at some point.
And he's still terrible at it.
Yeah. His skin goes all scaly, sometimes a tint of green. Quite disturbing. It's very, very
Yeah.
odd. Thank you.
But I mean, she had a fair share of guys, especially like sports guys. Like
Yeah.
I said before, apparently James Hewitt was an absolute bedroom Adonis.
That word.
I know. He's like the ginger ninja, like you said. He's the bedroom.
So do you
Mario.
do you believe the royal family themselves were held accountable?
No, not all. Everyone in England's like, yeah, royal family did it. It's basically when you ask people about 9/11 again, isn't it? Like
Yeah,
50,
no.
I think it's 50-60% of Americans think 9/11 was a cover-up or an
you-
inside job.
But you without a doubt believe it was the royal family that are responsible for it. Like,
Yeah, 100%.
yeah.
Or,
Ben? Oh,
or the Illuminati factions that we could possibly talk about.
the flame
another
thing,
day.
yeah.
But then you've kind of got to think they're probably all part of the same fucking
Yeah.
thing
Right,
anyway. You know,
Yeah.
Black
high
chicken,
wizard.
reptilians.
A high wizard, or whatever you want to call it in the Illuminati, a high-ranking official probably approached the prince or Prince Philip and was just like, that blonde one's a bit of an issue.
She needs
Yeah.
to go.
And then that was it. And then he's just like, oh, yes. Weird handshake, roll your leg, tie up.
Maybe
Back to-
that's
back
it.
to
That's
Buckingham
maybe why
Palace.
His fingers are so fat because the handshake was so strong.
Yeah.
We need to do something about that one. Maybe that's
Your
the last,
yeah.
the
Your
last
blonde
reason about Harry.
granddaughter-in-law is an issue.
I
Daughter-in-law,
think,
sorry.
I think she was becoming bigger than the royal family, and they were worried that she was going to either do something to reveal something, or they were going to have a new baby. It would probably be the first ever half brother of a king, and a Muslim one at that.
Yeah.
It
Bum.
wasn't
But
ideal,
the
was it?
same thing's happening now, isn't it, with Harry and Meghan Markle? But they've renounced. He's renounced all his ties.
Royalty.
He's now just Harry Windsor, isn't he?
Yeah. And they've now paid the money back that they borrowed for the bungalow. I mean, I live in a fucking bungalow, but it's like it's just a city of one small house.
Yeah.
We're living in a very modest bungalow.
Yeah, the Mountbatten
It was
Windsors.
7.2 million.
We don't even have a gardener this time. We don't have gardeners, let alone one.
they just signed like a multi-million-pound deal with
Netflix deal.
Netflix, didn't they? Yeah. So
What's all that about? Fly on the wall. First episode, like it's going to be a distant shot
it's gonna be
of the
all-
front door. It's going to be a distant shot of the front door, and it will just be Meghan going, "Harry, your bloody underwear's on the floor again." Like, and
I
it'll
don't
just
think it
zoom
will
in. I was
be.
like,
I think they're
it's
too
got a
classy,
swastika on
man.
it.
She is classy, man. She's not gonna like do anything.
he did
What
good
have they
there.
signed a deal for?
Netflix for like
Feature films, animations, kids shows, documentaries. It's like Meghan and Harry.
Meghan and Harry.
God.
Yeah,
Well, remember she's been narrating for Disney Nature for a really long while. She's been doing
They're
narration for
leaving
that.
one fucking pedo cult and joining the other. This is
Yeah, but
fucking bullshit.
this one's just a contract. The other one's life, man.
Yeah, well, it's a fucking the contract that ends with life.
Yeah. So I mean, he got out. I think Will is going to be the next king. He's kind of towed the party line.
Yeah,
you know, he's been there.
Will's fully royal, whereas I think
Yeah.
Harry one day is just going to get really drunk somewhere in a pub. He's going to have an argument with Meghan in the village that they live in. He's going to go storm down the pub, have a few pints. This is what normal folks do when they argue with their missus. And he'll go down there and start swinging pints down his throat. And then one of them will just sit there and be like, "Who killed your mum then?" And he'll be like, "They fucking did, didn't they?"
Why do you
And
think
then
I'm in
that'll be it.
Canada?
Oh, well, yeah, it'll be in Canada or whatnot. Whatever.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to come
he's-
out one day and say
I think-
it. He is.
I think he did a deal. I think he definitely he's done a deal with look,
Yeah.
let me out. I won't ever say anything. Just let me go. I'll
Yep.
take my wife. I don't want you to do what you did to my mum to her. Because you
Yeah.
know Meghan Markle's going to do the same thing. She's
gonna be exactly
she was
the
at
same.
She was part of One Young World. She's part of loads of charities and stuff. She was really getting out there and using her title.
Yeah.
But she was also getting criticism from the press for no reason, other than she was black, basically.
Yeah.
A fucking
Yep.
racist press just going after her. He's probably gone, do you know what? The same thing's going to happen. We're going to be attacked constantly. We're going to have paparazzi after us all the time. You killed my mum. My uncle's a paedophile and you're protecting him. I won't say anything. Let me go.
Yeah.
And they've gone, I went, he could probably go, look, as soon as I say that James Stewart's my dad, it undermines the whole royal family.
Yeah.
Right.
Let
Yeah.
me go.
Yeah.
I think
Basically
that's
buying him they've bought him off, haven't they? Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
like
Well,
every,
he's bought them,
every
yeah.
fucking rich family do. They just buy people off. Like, just don't say anything and there you go, there's £1 million. But there's always that thing in the back of their minds. Like, I think that's it. I think for me, that was the thing with Princess Diana. She probably got fucking shit tons of money from that whole thing. She probably did.
Yeah.
She did. She got
And then-
22 million divorce settlement and then £600,000 a year.
There you go. But there's always that bitter resentment thing that always overpowers everything. I don't care what anyone says, it's always there. But no amount of money would pay for that because it's always in your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
And it could never suffice. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I agree.
who's to say that Harry and Meghan don't get
This is one thing. How have they fucking paid that cottage off so
Netflix?
quickly? So all they've done is, because they're rich as fuck, they've gone, I want to be like a normal person. And they've gone, how can we do that? And then there was loads of jokes, wasn't there, about like him going to work at McDonald's and fucking stupid shit like that. And he's like, well, I'm the ex-Prince of England. Why don't I just start a Netflix documentary? It's like, really?
Yeah.
Just all they have to do is like star in it or do narration, and that's it. That's all they need to do is narrate.
Do you not
Creative
think
concepts.
that even then undermines the royal family again?
It's a bit weird, isn't it? Like, just looking at it.
Yeah, because have you ever heard the story about the filming of the Windsors? So apparently the royal family didn't have any say in it, which I find fucking hard to believe, because they must have had some say in it, because it can't have been from the people who were there. It had to be from stories, because do you make it
all
up?
make up? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got to be like.
The Queen says the word cunt in the first episode. Like she actually says the word cunt.
What a Queen
There's
mum.
rumors around that she's got a foul mouth. That's the rumor. And so maybe it's all built on hearsay and rumors. Like, don't know. I've never really looked into it because I've never watched it, so I don't know how real it is.
It's fantastic.
I know Katie watches it.
I'll go check
really,
it out,
really
man.
good. So the first scene is basically them getting Prince Philip to get with her. That's it. So they're in separate rooms, like how you imagine old day shit, and they're just like, just to let you know that the Queen's got a bit of a foul mouth, and then one of the guys comes over, a bit like one of his henchmen, and just goes, oh, but something cunt, and then she says it like straight away, and it's just like, am I watching? Is this real? Yeah. Are they just fucking? Are they like Mike Carroll, the fucking?
Yeah, the lotto lout.
Yobber. Like, and they've just been given loads of money, and they're just like, oh, look at this fucking shit. Like, look at everyone. Everybody respects us. You know, it's like, it's fucking surreal.
Yeah.
I personally don't see the point of the royal family anymore. Like,
No.
they have no power. It's
Like-
not a tourist attraction,
Anyway.
because I can't remember who said it. Someone said about the Eiffel Tower. You don't go to France and get to the Eiffel Tower, and look out and go, well, it'd be so much nicer if it'd be so much more touristy if it had a royal family.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I have heard that
Yeah,
quote
Dean.
somewhere. Yeah.
I thought you said it earlier on, Dean. thought
Maybe I did. I can't remember.
thought
We're
you-
3
I
hours
think
deep now.
it was on I think it might have been those conspiracy guys. I think,
It must have been. It
but
probably
it was really well put. It was like,
that
we
makes
don't
sense.
need a tourist fact. We don't need
No.
tourism.
No.
You like look at all these like Dublin. I mean, I was gonna say Amsterdam, but they've got a royal family, so that.
Yeah.
France,
And they've got
yeah,
loads of
Germany,
weed.
like yeah, like
So
America.
Who do you think was responsible then, Ben? Like, what's your takeaway?
the Queen. Yeah, I reckon it was the royal family.
Queenie called it herself.
Queenie, Philip, Elizabeth, and Charles all got in a room and gone, it's getting too much. Something's going to happen. We can't have this. She's
And
gotta go.
Queenie's just
Because
like,
it's those
"Kill the
three.
cunt."
It's those three. The others aren't.
Yeah.
They're not involved. There's no one else. It's those three.
I think it was either from Philip or the Queen. I don't know whether Charles was told. I can't really tell, but I do believe Henri Paul was used as a not really a patsy, but
I reckon he was
gotten
duped
rid of.
into it. Yeah.
He was just duped into it to kind of mix up the trails, because I truly believe that the Fiat Uno and the two that were reported on the Superbike are a completely separate incident that we have no idea how it was planned, who's involved, or anything. Like, that side of it is just a mystery, and whoever has organised that has done a fucking good job in keeping it quiet. But what we see is the plan that they used, what was very similar to what they wanted to use on Slobodan Milosevic, and because at some point that would end up becoming public knowledge anyway through the Freedom of Information Act, that's where I think someone at MI6 has said, well, we could possibly use that as a kind of a decoy situation, but behind the scenes, we'll orchestrate this to do it. And it was done so with the Queen and Prince Philip and MI6. That's what I believe. And Henri Paul was obviously duped into it as an informant to blur the lines and create a smoke screen toward the correct story.
Yeah.
I.e.
thing
being
is-
pumped with carbon monoxide and booze, which he didn't have. So
The thing is with stuff like this, one thing that I always kind of question loads is why, if they're gonna just put the inquest to that fucking Lord guy anyway, why do they have to make such a big drastic display of like, this is what this thing that I was talking about goes into? Talks about the big display, a bit like
Yeah,
Bohemian
any-
Grove. They talk
any
about
magical-
the display
any
of yeah.
Any ritual needs to be a big display. It has to
Yeah.
be all encompassing. It has to have all that power. The ritual is to kind of drum up adrenaline and like thoughts in people's heads to make that magic work. Surely that's the point of a ritual.
So like willing something that is like essentially, because what, you know, like why do none of these people ever just like Prince Andrew's found this morning covered in his own vomit, he's dead. Like, why is it like Prince Andrew was riding a horseback, he did a triple backflip over over another horse's back and he broke his neck.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, that horse was a fucking never mind.
it's an MI6 informant.
That horse was a shill.
Do
He
you,
was a double agent.
well, then that would make this podcast part of that ritual still then, because we're
It
still
would,
talking
yeah.
about it.
Yeah,
Because we're
unfortunately,
essentially
but
making it live on, aren't we? Like, people are like, now like,
So we're still part of the ritual. We're still, if we're talking about, if we're going to go with the magical ritual side of it, we would then be part of that.
yeah.
unfortunately, but we need
Which
to.
is
God, I
just
love,
like-
man,
because otherwise I'm gonna piss everywhere.
I love the fact that there is a magical ritual element to it, because that, like I said in the Discord, in our secret Discord thing, one of my topics is magic and chaos magic and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Well, maybe we should follow up this. Maybe not the next one, but just a quick episode on this theory. Just so
Maybe
people can-
we'll make it a Patreon episode in the
Yeah.
future.
hey.
Well, actually, do you
there
know what?
go.
I'll put it to a vote in the Patreon thing once people start signing up. But
That'd be
Yeah.
a great idea, actually.
So
yeah.
I don't know whether to share that.
share it because people can read it and then we can discuss it, can't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll do
okay.
that right now.
Well, I think that would end today's episode.
Absolutely, because I'm going to piss everywhere in a second.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, do we want to? I think we should, because obviously we've started a Patreon today, guys, and the link will be in the Discord and below in the description. But on that Patreon page, there is a poll for Patreons. You patrons, if you once you become a patron, to do a poll and vote for the next episode.
That's a good idea. I like it.
I've got in there
I like
currently
it.
option 1, 2, and 3, and I think we should all pick one of those options for those.
Sounds good
be-
to me.
Right. So
Sounds good to me.
JJ, you go first. You can pick one. Go on.
Well, I have to pick the next option.
Well, pick your option
Yeah,
for
one
what
of
you
one
want
of
next,
the options.
next episode.
Oh, that's a putting me on the spot.
Oh, come on then.
So
You've not got any in your back burner that you want to.
You guys.
I've already
go
got one.
first.
I've
Yeah,
got
there
one.
you go.
Go on then. I'm going to read one off my list.
Go on, then.
I've lost it. I want to do chaos magic.
Okay. Does it have to be magic, mine, or
No, no,
anything?
no.
Jack the Ripper.
Oh God, this is. What is this? The voters poll thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to do the thingy about Diana being
The magic-
sacrificially.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll change mine then, because I want to do Helia, the documentary Helia.
Well, I was gonna say Helia, so I was like, I didn't know which
I don't
one,
know
'cause
what
they're-
that is.
Well, you've got to watch
similar.
it.
Oh, I'll
Yeah.
watch it then.
Well,
Right,
I'll do
I'm go-
Helia. You do the falsification of thingy.
Of history. Yeah.
History, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So get onto Patreon, sign up for a month so you can vote, and then cancel your subscription.
And then fuck off.
Or keep subscribing. And make sure
Drop
that
us
you
a
follow
like, subscribe,
all that.
Indeed,
do all
do.
of
press
that.
the bell.
Review us on Apple iTunes, please. Review us on iTunes. We really need
Even
those.
if it's
Really want to
shit.
see those. Really want to see those reviews. No, they need to be
Even
good
if it's
reviews.
shit. Give us
Really want to
5-star
see those
reviews.
reviews.
Give us a 5-star review, even if you don't.
Really
like
want
it.
to see those reviews.
Yeah, if it's really, just write a shit review, but give 5 stars. That's the way to do it.
What I was going to say.
Ah,
Yeah, sign up to the Discord. If you're interested, please do the Patreon, and as always, Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself.
Sorry.
Dean's
That was really good.
dripping.
That was really good.
I'm desperate to piss. Sorry, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
I thought we'd do an episode on just holding this conspiracy.
I mean, I've got to keep
So
talking.
Dean pisses.
Shut up.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for
Thank you,
watching.
boss.
Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself.
He didn't. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Right, love you and leave you guys. I've seriously got this.
Right, me too. I'm just going to do it out the door.
When it comes to it.
In the
Oh, maybe they did. So in the back, now this is
light brown jacket.
cool story.
We're not the first. We definitely won't be the last. We'd like to welcome you